home title. Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Monday, while the press continues to obsess over the White House renovation, the most important story of the year will unfold this week. President Trump going to South Korea. There, he will meet with Asian nations to try to get a better handle on the worldwide economy. But most importantly, he's supposed to meet with the Chinese president, Xi, Xi, Xi. Now, if China becomes sane and allies with the United States in economic matters and calms chaos down all over the world, each human being on the planet benefits. China's propping up Putin, buying his oil. They don't need to do that. There's plenty of oil in OPEC, and the USA will send oil to China as well. Why get into Putin business? He is a psychopath. That's number one. Number two, we can work out this tariff stuff. We can work out the trade agreements. By we, I mean the Trump administration, because China needs the United States to buy their stuff in order to feed 1.5 billion people who don't have IRAs or the gold card. They have to eat. They have to sell. Here. Work it out, guys. The world needs it. Back in a moment. What happens when flu season hits and your medicine cabinet is empty? Don't get caught off guard. All Family Pharmacy makes it simple to prepare. If you want to be proactive with your health, this is the pharmacy for you. Stock up now on Tamiflu, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, immune support, and much more. Delivered fast with a doctor's prescription included. Visit All Family Pharmacy, one word, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use promo code BILL to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool, too. A high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
We're beginning a new era of the program today. Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Mike Ferguson here. Susie Moore, the new co-host of Mike Ferguson in the morning, going to be in just a little bit. A little bit later on today as well, Congressman Bob Onder going to give us an update of what's happening with, well, and what's not happening with Congress. And then this is going to be fun. At 8:35, Chris Salcedo, the host on NewsMax TV. You can see him every afternoon. He's going to be with us at 8:35. He's got a new book out, and it's all focused on winning over Latinos and Hispanic voters to the conservative movement, because conventional wisdom, meaning mainstream media, says conservatives will never win those votes now that we're trying to get rid of illegal aliens, which is, of course, a very stereotyping and racist sentiment, but that's what the left does. So Chris will be with us at 8:35. I'm looking forward to this conversation. But, you know, we kind of had the handoff on the program with Susie and Gabe on Friday, because we went over some of these big stories and these big things affecting our lives. And, you know what, let's kind of revisit that. Here's Susie Moore, RedState.com, new co-host of the program, kind of getting us going on the news things that we're going to be updating you on here in just a little bit. I think the Kofifi dance game is going to step up, though.
Oh, well, yeah.
I am going to say
you're definitely getting an upgrade on the Kofifi dance with Susie. Yes,
right, Susie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I want to go through some of the news here, but then let's chat about where we're going from this on the show here. We were just talking about this. I wanted to follow up and get your thoughts on this. Jamie Pritzker goes on Fox News last night, doubles down on the Nazi references. Doubling down. And then, of course, you've got these Democratic lawmakers or members of Congress to Letitia James and trying to use their positions in government to create portals and databases. And we're collecting information so we can prosecute the law enforcement officers. But then you've got, like I said, J.B. Pritzker literally being challenged on the Nazi reference, which he's been done before, and he doubles, triples, quadruples down and saying, well, yeah, as a historical reference, here's why it's like 1930s Germany, and that sort of thing. We would say on our side, it's like you're not learning the lessons from the violence, but I'm starting to think, no, they get the lessons on the violence. They just have a very different take on it than us. What's your take?
I think you're right in the latter assumption. I don't think it's by mistake. I don't think it's naivety. I think they're like a dog with a bone. They don't want to let it go because they think in the long run, if they keep pushing and pushing, there's going to be some strong repercussions and reaction from the Trump administration and from law enforcement, and that gives them what they want. If there's let's just say there's an overreaction. I'm not saying that there will be, but if there is, or one that could be spun as an overreaction from the government, then they get to, claim victim status. They get to have a George Floyd summer or something if someone gets killed. So I think this is a very cynical ploy on their part.
Hey, Susie, Gabe here. I'm really curious about what happens if and when, because what I want to happen is the lawmakers, the people in charge who are doing these things end up in prison. Ultimately, I would like that. But at the very least, I want the FBI to raid their homes, and I want them to be let off someplace in handcuffs because, the AG's office kind of calls for it. And we've already seen a warning being issued by them to these states who are doing these things. But that would be, I think, the one thing that would make sense to happen. But as you mentioned, that may be what they're looking for. What do you think happens in that scenario?
Well, you're going to have obviously a court battle over it, and you're going to have all kinds of spin in the media. There are probably situations where they are coming close to the line, if not over it. And if there is a justified legal point to say, hey, this person is breaking the law and they're going to be prosecuted, then I think go for it. I'm on the fence about the optics because while there would have been, absolutely the raids and the handcuffs the other way, we saw it. I almost am hoping, and the Trump administration has actually done a very nice job of threading this needle, I think, with all the legal ramifications, both on the criminal and the civil side. They've been pushing the envelope, but they've been using the courts. And I think in the long run, that's going to pay off for them. So I think, for instance, James Comey, they let him come into his arraignment. They didn't do a big, frog march type situation. Now, I understand wanting to do that, but there's a fine line there. Like, where are you pushing it too far that it's going to backfire on you from a PR standpoint?
Yeah, you don't want to create more.
And I don't know. That's that's exactly it. You said it much better than I am. I'm not fully awake. But I definitely, there needs to be repercussions. There needs to be accountability. You just don't want it to be in a way that it doesn't create martyrs, as you pointed out.
Okay, let me follow up on the PR aspect of this. Not even just for us. Let me shift gears a little bit to the whole shutdown thing. Yeah, because Gabe and I were chatting before we went on. I said, it's plainly obvious that the federal government is shut down because Democrats have voted now, 12 or 13 times to not fund things in the government. However, people tend to blame whoever's party is in charge in theory overall. And we're going into November when the stuff really is going to start hitting the fan for more people, because right now most people don't feel any impact of this, but come November more people will. And I wonder if the Democrats are banking on exactly what you just said to say the PR nightmare, even if it's unfair, through media support or whatever the case is, the PR nightmare they're hoping will be aimed at President Trump and the Republicans, even though it's clearly the Democrats who are voting. I mean, they literally voted down an effort to pay federal employees, or at least certain essential federal employees, yesterday when the Republicans said, okay, we'll carve that out. And Democrats said, nope, all or nothing here. And so it's policy-wise the Democrats' fault, but will the public see it that way? Because perception becomes reality after a while.
Well, that's a good question. I think if it were just starting now, that might be more of an issue. It's been going on now for 24 days. The entire time, it's been pointed out over and over and over again. Look, the House voted on this over a month ago. Mm-hmm. The House did their job. It's the Senate Democrats that are holding things up here. And that's been made very, very clear. The administration has been very strong going on offense of it. The point being, people that are paying attention at all are aware of the dynamics here. Now, the people who are going to buy the Democrat spin are already in that camp anyway. You know, the middle, I'm not going to call them the squishy middle, but the middle, the people that could kind of go either way on it, if they're engaged, they already know what the dynamic is here. And the Republicans have been doing a good job on their own, on the PR side of things, of saying, look, we're here. We voted on this, and keep pointing it out. So no, the media isn't going to assist them in any way. The legacy media isn't. Mm-hmm. But I do think in this instance, they have a stronger position than they might have in other circumstances.
Now, taking that GOP unity for granted, we've got a little bit of pushback coming in for the GOP locally here in Missouri against that Argentina beef import idea that the administration is floating out there. So this is a kind of a complex game of trade tariffs, subsidies, and bailouts, and a lot of people are not on board with this. What do you think is going to be the fallout of this? Do you think the administration is going to follow through and then basically anger a bunch of red state beef creators, or is there going to be a compromise? How do you think it's going to play out?
Make him eat tofu.
Make him eat tofu. No steak for you.
Right. No,
well done or otherwise.
For that, I will take to the streets. I will have my own march. Have a beef issue. I will have a beef with it. No, my sense is that some sort of compromise is going to be reached because, and this administration has done this on a few occasions. So kind of, put out a policy suggestion or idea, and then there's a lot of pushback, like, whoa, wait a second, this is going to have a bad, negative effect, and then they kind of regroup and and pivot. And my sense is that that's probably what will happen here. I don't have any special insight into that. And there's obviously a lot going on, and Trump's getting ready to take off for Malaysia, I think on Sunday, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like they're not going to leave the U.S. beef producers, hanging. I think they're going to try and find some way to kind of find that middle ground.
Right. Yeah. Because the tariffs and the trade barriers are driving up the cost because it's reducing supply, which is great for the U.S. producers. And then he says, well, we're going to subsidize you with tariff money and then bring in Argentine beef, which is going to bottom out the prices, and the farmers are going, that's a lose deal for us, and also, so, it's just so complex, like Gabe was saying. All right. So Susie Moore, RedState.com. All right. Now's the time here. We begin the formal handoff here.
Handover.
And so you've been a listener in addition to being a part of the NewsTalkSTL family pretty much since day one. We see you in the chat box and everything. What you're going to bring is a whole different set of things than what Gabe has, so the show necessarily becomes a different show on Monday. But kind of assess what Gabe's brought to St. Louis.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I don't even know how. I don't even know how to encapsulate it. When I first started listening to Gabe on the radio, I was just enthralled because he's got this incredible way of distilling things down to, with his brilliance. And he takes something that's complex and distills it down to something very digestible for anyone. Got a great way of doing that. An incredible laugh, an incredible energy, an incredible spirit. Like,
you're making me blush, Susie.
well, good. You should. No, I mean,
Which is hard to see.
It's hard to see. It's a complexion thing. Yeah.
You approach it all with this attitude that's a very, and it appeals very much to me because I know you're faith-based. It's a loving attitude, but it's a firm attitude. And I just feel like you bring so much to the discussion that goes beyond just, talking points or throwing red meat or that sort of thing. And I hope to do that in my own way, but I know that I can never be Gabe, and I'm not going to try to be Gabe. I am not a rocket scientist. I am not a rocket surgeon. But I'm going to try, and I'm sure it'll take me a little time to kind of grow into it and figure out my own voice and role, even though I've been on a lot, but I am really looking forward to the opportunity. But I am definitely going to miss listening to Gabe.
Now, I'll say this, because I've had the opportunity to work with Susie, both actually from the host position, and she was my co-host too. I was her co-host, and right. She's the host. So we've been in both positions with each other in the room, and we've had such great conversations. And she brings a new perspective that I think a lot of listeners are going to benefit from as well. So I think the show's on its way to different, but I dare say better.
All right, 314-912-1019. As always, that's how you get involved in the conversation right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to. So make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. I'm not kidding. Have a plan B if you're planning to fly somewhere in the coming weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm dealing with that. I would say I dealt with it over the weekend. I'm dealing with it right now.
Wow.
Let's put it that way. I got a little taste of what's probably coming. Let me put it this way. I just got back home, boy, like not even 9 hours ago or so from Philadelphia, because in large part because of the delays of the shutdown. So I'll get to that here in just a few minutes. It is 5:48 right now. Got Jerome here. I'm Mike on Susie's first day as co-host. Woo! She's going to be in here in just a little bit. Guess what I got to do this weekend?
What's that?
Okay, so I just mentioned I was in Philadelphia over the weekend. One of my wife's colleagues got married, so we went out there to go to her wedding and her reception. And she had the reception. She's a real big history nerd. like massive history nerd. And she was able to book her wedding reception at Valley Forge.
Nice.
So I was at Valley Forge on Saturday, like the location, the actual Valley Forge. That's where the wedding reception was. And I got to hang out with George and Martha Washington.
Ooh.
So as part of what they had at Valley Forge was the George Washington impersonator to Martha. And I think that Martha Washington, in quotes, is actually his wife too. And it was funny because this guy was really cool. Rachel and I were like among the first ones to get to the reception because there was basically we knew just a couple of people at the wedding. So we didn't really hang around too much after the wedding. We're like, well, we'll just go to the reception and, just kind of hang out there, walk around Valley Forge a little bit. And so we get out there and we're greeted by, quote unquote, George Washington and Martha Washington. He's dressed in the General Washington garb. And, we're chatting for a few minutes because he wasn't quite in character yet because we were a few minutes early. And we're just chatting. And then he kind of does, what do you do for a living? And I mentioned, I said, well, I'm actually a conservative talk show host in St. Louis. And his eyes just lit up. He's like, really? You're conservative talk? I'm like, yeah. And then he leans in and he goes, can you believe those Democrats are? So then he started talking about his daughter is really got a lot of potential and she wants to get involved in politics. And he talked about, how Charlie Kirk's assassination, is affected him personally. And this guy's probably in his, I would say probably early 60s, probably. So, a little bit older than me. And he was just passionate about the country. And so clearly, him deciding to either do a side job or I don't know what this is for him as George Washington is clearly a perfect fit because this guy's a patriot.
So we can say that Washington's not turning in his grave right now. He's going to people's weddings.
Apparently he's going to people's weddings and he's partying. He's partying at Valley Forge. So it was just cool. I just, it was a great time. I mean, I'm exhausted, but it was a great time, even though I didn't really know anybody. I knew like one or two people at the wedding. That was it. But they were, it was kind of cool because now I can say, well, I partied with George Washington at Valley Forge. Well, sure. Haven't you? I mean,
I am so jealous right now.
I had to put those pictures up on like X or something like that. So AVP Mike Ferguson. I've changed my handle, AVP Mike Ferguson. So I'll put that up maybe either sometime this morning or right after the show or something like that. But it was a good time until it was time to start coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So last night. And so I was supposed to get back to Lambert. I think I was supposed to fly out at 4:00 Eastern time and get back here around 7:15 or something like that. Okay. Well, we get to the check-in and the lady at the check-in counter, she looks at me and she goes, nope. And I'm like, what? And she goes, the plane that's going to be your plane to go to Midway, to Chicago, to your connector. She's like, that's running late.
Oh,
I'm like, well, okay. And it was only 20, 30 minutes late. So I'm thinking, well, it's not a big deal. She goes, you're going to miss your connection to Midway. And I don't have a way to get you back to St. Louis from Chicago.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, crap. So she starts looking through all the other stuff. She goes, oh, there's one going to Nashville. It'll get you back in a little bit later. And then, oh, no, somebody just took the flight, And so I ended up on a direct flight, but it didn't go out until, frankly, the time I was supposed to be here. So I didn't get back till after 11 last night.
Wow.
So I'm in bed, 11:30, 12. Of course, I get up, at a ridiculously early hour. So I'm going on about 2.5 hours of sleep. And I'm thinking, are there weather delays? Because there were problems out of Dallas. There were problems out of Orlando. There were problems out of Los Angeles. All of these connecting flights coming into Philadelphia. And all of these flights were being delayed in Philadelphia. And so, I'm just kind of eavesdropping on the conversations with the airport folks. And one of them said, well, I don't know, maybe it's a weather delay or whatever. Well, then I see a Fox Business report. No, these were delays because of the shutdown, because of staffing issues with everything from transportation workers to whatever else. And so this is kind of the first taste of what is going to be happening as a ripple effect as a result of the shutdown. And so we can point out accurately that the Democrats are keeping the government shut down. Now, media is going to blame the president and Republicans. We know that. We're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about that here around 7:30. But the reality is, and I'm not talking about the politics of it right now. The reality is that you need to have a plan B if you are planning to fly somewhere in the next few weeks, maybe month or more. You've got to have that plan B.
Yeah, because even if the government were to open up today again and they can get all the people back to work, it's still going to take time to get everybody back in the groove and to be able to, so there's still going to be that ripple effect to worry about as well. And with how close we are to the holidays, it's going to be kind of, hectic for everybody to get caught back up and to get back into how things were before the shutdown, which again, it's because the Democrats want to add $1.5 trillion in spending to a already major deficit. And that comes out to way too much money for us taxpayers.
George Washington objected to that over the weekend too, just to let you know, he agrees with us. I'm just saying. By the way, speaking of the flight though, let me do a little sidebar. At 7:20, and I already showed this to Jerome, so he knows what's coming here on this. Part of the flight to Philadelphia turned out to be really special. I was able to witness something that was just sobering, but it was amazing. Especially once we figured out what actually was going on. It was what they call a dignified transfer of a serviceman whose remains were being brought back to the United States. So we actually saw that because the remains were on the plane with us. But then Susie and her team over at RedState, I said, I don't know who this is. And I'm looking and searching. I couldn't find out. They found out who it was. And the story is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So 7:20, because I want to put that kind of when we've got a lot of the people heading to work and stuff like that. You definitely want to be a part of the show. And if you are not driving, I recommend going to our video.
Yes. Yeah. I would, if it's safe for you to do, join the stream during that time. It's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Then go back to the app and go back to over the air. But if you can do it, watch that around 7:20. All right. And also I was reminded why I hate flying. I got groped again by one of those blue shirt idiots.
Oh.
And he did not care for my tone. And he starts barking at me. I may or may not have barked right back at him, which I know that I'm not supposed to, because these people, remember the requirement to be one of these blue shirts is that you have to have a GED and a reasonably clean criminal record. That's basically what it is. Nobody aspires to be the guy. I mean, he got, he should have bought me some kind of dinner or something before getting to third base, really like that. And I was so furious at this again. I am so sick of these people. Do not tell me that national security relies on that guy grabbing my junk or any of the others that have done it over the year. It is ridiculous. It is security theater. It is nothing but, I'm glad that guy's not getting paid. Screw him.
Well, it's like they say, it's not gay if it's a TSA.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gay if it's TSA, but it felt pretty damn gay. Let's put it that way.
But just as a reminder, there have been 0 instances of any terrorist plot being thwarted or stopped by a TSA agent.
Yeah. So, the airlines treat us like cattle. The blue shirts treat us like criminals.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons I absolutely detest flying. So like Thanksgiving, I may take the train and do a 36-hour train trip. I don't know, because the flights may or may not be there. You're taking a big chance if you book your flight and you want to get somewhere, because the tickets are there. You can buy the tickets right now. But if the shutdown continues, will the flight be there? We don't know.
Yeah. And trains are a little bit more predictable with some of the delays. I prefer train travel over almost any other form of travel.
It's actually kind of fun. Yeah.
You can almost do whatever you want in those cars. There's plenty of leg room. Nobody's freaking out. So if there's a crying baby, just go to another car. It's that easy. But
go to the food area. Yeah.
But I've had instances as well traveling to other states via plane where once that flight's canceled, you're basically stuck there until they figure out, and that could be an overnight thing. That could sometimes be more than a day. And then if the weather gets worse during that time, then you're stuck again. So
it's all, you've always got the risks, which are out of anybody's control. But this right now, understand, this is leverage that the Democrats want to put pressure on Republicans, because what's going to happen is at some point soon, the media is going to be saying, will the Republicans who control Congress and the White House allow the shutdown to continue as people are trying to visit their families in the holiday season? And so they're going to try to put this all on the right, when there's no question, the left is who's keeping the government shut down.
Yeah, who keeps voting no to reopening it?
Right.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kate Monroe.
I was in the Marine Corps. I don't think people really understand that the National Guard is essentially your neighbors. I mean, this would be like your house is on fire and all the great men and women on your block that are capable of helping you put out said fire, you call the police on them and then let your house burn down. That is essentially what these cities are doing. Because Orange Man wants to send people to help us, we're going to go ahead and let it just burn down.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rick Thomason. Jamaica is bracing for what may be the most powerful hurricane to ever strike the island.
In the hours before Hurricane Melissa makes landfall in Jamaica, the authorities have issued evacuation orders for several areas, including the coastal town of Port Royal, and warned people to seek immediate shelter. The storm is expected to be one of the strongest to hit the island on record, with meteorologists warning of 225-kilometre-an-hour winds and up to a metre of rain being dumped on Jamaica in the coming days. The U.S. National Hurricane Center has said the storm could bring catastrophic flooding to some parts of the island.
The BBC's Will Grant says Melissa, now a Category 5 hurricane, winds around 150 miles per hour. The waves are already kicking up as torrential rains fall and gusty winds buffet the island nation. There are fears of catastrophic flooding and landslides along with deadly storm surge. Landfall expected tomorrow on Jamaica. No reports of injuries, but there is damage to homes and businesses in the wake of tornadoes raked parts of southern Mississippi over the weekend. The coastal cities of Gautier and Pascagoula were hit. Now in Japan, President Trump will be meeting with the country's new prime minister and the emperor. After Japan, it's on to South Korea and an expected meeting with Chinese President Xi. Reports of progress on a U.S.-China trade agreement. The Russian saber rattling is growing louder. The Kremlin reports testing a new nuclear-capable cruise missile that it claims flew more than 8,000 miles. Vladimir Putin says the missile has an unlimited range and can evade missile defenses. President Trump reminds the Russians that, in his words, we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shores. Optimism over prospects for a U.S.-China trade deal as Wall Street flying high this morning. The Dow futures up 256, NASDAQ futures ahead 334. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey there, it's Chris Stigall, and today I want to share something that should fill every Christian with wonder. We're living in the time of history's greatest homecoming. For thousands of years, God promised through his prophets that he would gather the Jewish people from every corner of the earth and bring them back to their homeland. Many thought these were just beautiful words that would never come to pass, but we're witnessing the impossible. Since 1948, over 3 million Jewish people have returned to Israel from more than 100 countries. Russian Jews, Ethiopian Jews, European Holocaust survivors, all coming home exactly as Scripture foretold. This isn't just a coincidence, it's prophecy fulfilled before our eyes. When you support the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, it's not just helping with immigration. You're participating in biblical prophecy. Let's say yes to God's promises coming true. Together, let's discover the top reasons why Christians all over the world support Israel. To learn more, visit ifcj.org. That's ifcj.org.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool too. A high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIglobal.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are. And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
You think he's ready?
He's not ready.
St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, the Boeing employees vote on the new offer, and it was a very close vote. Tell you what happened on that here in a second. Also, the stakes are getting higher in the government shutdown standoff. Eventually, this is going to affect you. It's going to happen. And in just a little bit here, did Ronald Reagan really love tariffs? We're going to dissect President Trump's claims about that. I actually happen to know one of the foremost experts on Reagan's legacy, and I actually got I got something from him on that. So you saw this, right? The president says, I'm increasing tariffs on Canada because I am angry at their television ad they aired. That literally happened. I wish I were kidding. I wish I were kidding on that. All right. 6:06. We got Susie Moore here and Brewster Jerome. I say we get started with the news dump here.
All right.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right. Boeing's striking non-workers will stay off the job. Yep, by a 51 to 49% vote, according to multiple reports. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers rejected the company's latest offer. The company is accusing the union bosses of misleading workers about the proposal. The strike began 3 months ago. It involves about 3,200 workers. So just about half of those workers said, no, I want to go back to work. And just enough of them said, nope, we're staying off the job. Reports say that on average, this 3-month strike has cost each and every worker about $25,000 in salary and benefits.
Whoa.
Because you're talking about 1/4 of the year.
Yeesh.
So that's what they have lost. And at this point, they're not going to get it all back.
No.
And they shouldn't. They haven't been working.
Well, yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, I guess they really mean it. They're determined to have something give, but
yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't been following it, so I don't know if there's been any progress made.
No. And Boeing made it clear a couple weeks ago. Their words were the economics will not change.
Okay.
Of this. This is the offer.
It reminds me of that old, I think it's a parable, but it's like the puppy has a bunch of pennies in his mouth and it sees its reflection in the water, thinking that's another one. It opens its mouth and they all fall in the river.
Pretty much.
It's kind of what it seems like this union's doing. It's they had a great deal that they wanted to get more out of, and then now it's going to be lower and lower and lower. So they have to go back.
Yeah, the contract that they've been offered is a 5-year deal, but over the first 4 years, really total 5 years, but over the first 4 years, wage increases on an average of 45% over the course of those 4 years.
Okay.
45%.
That's
45 plus
Sign me up.
retention bonuses and signing ratification bonus, retention bonus, additional bonuses if you show up to work regularly and you're having attendance. I mean, increased in benefits. So all of that stuff was in there, and the union bosses and 51% of the union workers say not good enough in this economy.
Do we know what they're saying the sticking point is?
Yeah. They're saying we want what Seattle got.
Oh,
Okay.
We want the numbers Seattle got.
This isn't Seattle.
I know that. And you know that.
I mean, it is raining out. It is
Yes,
it is
true.
dreary. So I mean, there's that, but I don't think
So
that-
here's what I say because there's probably some of the, I mean, there's thousands of 3,000, 3,200 workers. So there's probably somebody in that union who's listening to the show. There's a lot of
Right.
conservative union members out there.
Yeah.
If you're not going to work and you want to go to work, blame your fellow union members. They're the ones screwing you over right now.
Yeah, unless there's, I mean, there's always more than one side of the story, but yeah, it does seem sort of like they're maybe cutting off their nose to spite their face.
Yeah.
I'm surprised people haven't started scabbing yet, to be honest. I mean,
Well, they've started recruiting, their recruiting fairs. So they've got a pipeline going.
Wow.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
All right. The illegal alien who killed a St. Louis police officer last year will be back in court tomorrow. Investigators say Ramon Chavez Rodriguez was drunk when he hit Officer David Lee on I-70. That happened in September of 2024. Officer Lee had responded to another accident, so he was out on the highway helping somebody else who'd been in a crash. Chavez Rodriguez has a plea hearing set in this case. He is charged with DUI resulting in death of a law enforcement officer in addition to speeding. He has a lengthy criminal history, and in another case was sentenced this month to 7 years in prison after pleading guilty to domestic assault in an unrelated criminal case.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the guy who'd been living in the St. Charles area for a long time, and he has a lengthy and violent, particularly domestic criminal record.
I'm glad I never encountered him.
Precisely.
and these are the types of people that the Democrats are fighting ICE to keep in the country.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things where, sometimes that but for argument doesn't always work, but for
right
lacks immigration policies and a criminal justice system that has also been very lenient. This person wouldn't have been there and wouldn't have killed Officer Lee.
Absolutely. 100% correct. Absolutely. All right. Let's do the dueling sound bites. Okay. So let's set the stage for this. I think you've heard how we set the stage for the dueling sound bites, because the government shutdown is like in day, 27? Yeah. Or something like that. Let's start with Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Someday he's going to be the Speaker of the House, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to happen. He was on Face the Nation on CBS, and well, here's what he had to say about it. It's going to sound an awful like everything else he said about it, but here's the most recent one. Here we go. I'm just setting it up. No, that sounds great. I was just waiting for the crescendo of the song. There it is. Dueling soundbite music, the official score. Here he goes. Rep. Hakeem Jeffries.
As Democrats, we've maintained from the very beginning and continue to maintain we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone, either at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement.
Yeah. Okay. So notice that they're not talking about what it is they're demanding. They're just like, we're going to talk, and they don't even want to talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's like the congressional mean girls.
Well, welcome to the swamp.
All right. On the Republican side, it's going to be Senator John Barrasso out of Wyoming. He was on Fox's Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy.
This is mean. It is heartless. Evidently, they think that withholding paychecks from people who are working, or possibly even holding back food from women's and infants and children, maybe they think that gives them leverage. I would say leverage for what? For health care for illegal immigrants paid for by taxpayers?
Yeah. So it doesn't look like this is anywhere close to being resolved. No. We're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about this at 7:35.
You need to stop playing the same exact clips every single time. I mean, or those are all different. Wow.
Every single day. Oh, good God. All right. Gas prices continue to fall. You notice those that's been a nice change of pace. Now, according to industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg survey, she says this week's average cost for regular grade gasoline lower than what we saw at this time in 2024.
We have a bigger drop in the pump price now. Gasoline prices just dropped 11 cents in the past 2 weeks, and this price is 8 cents lower than it was 1 year ago. The new price is just under $3.12.
Yeah, and the fairly significant drop that happened, she attributes to, in part, the Israel-Hamas ceasefire.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
She says future price cuts will probably be at a slower pace, but she is anticipating the prices could go down a little bit more than we're getting in the holidays. We'll see what happens.
There was a significant drop about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for like 20 cents because it's been right at $2.89 forever. And then all of a sudden it's like $2.65. Right. Dude, what?
Load up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Public service announcement. Leave the stem on your pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, yeah. According to an article in the New York Times, keeping the stem on keeps the pumpkin from rotting as fast.
Well, I always just figured it made it an easy handle to
That's what I thought too. So that is, of course, referring to the decorative pumpkins that are not carved to make jack-o'-lanterns already. Because once you stab it, all bets are off. on it.
Right. But you still need the handle if you're going to have to pull the lid off.
Yeah.
So these are for the ones that people like paint on. These are
Right.
not, okay.
Right. Or just set out as, the fall decor. But
Okay.
if you leave the stem on, because apparently some people were cutting those off, but if you leave the stem on, the pumpkin will last a lot longer.
Okay, that makes sense. Kind of maintains the integrity.
Yes, they say it seals it.
Got
Is
it.
what they're saying. All right, World Series is tied up after the Blue Jays and Dodgers split the first 2 games in Toronto. The series resumes tonight in Los Angeles. First pitch is at 7:00, and the game is on Fox, so you can watch it on Channel 2. It's going to be a fun World Series. It really is. And the Blues are on the road tonight. They are in Pittsburgh for a 6 p.m. game against the Penguins, 6 p.m. our time. That one is on FanDuel.
And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop right now.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, RedState Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on NewsTalkSTL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You don't have to wait till this weekend. Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Hi.
Surprise. You get me almost every day now.
Corporeal being, just put out the new era begins.
It's true.
It is.
I know. The dawn of the new era, and
That's
it's
right.
not even dawn yet. I'm still trying to wake it up.
Because you're not filling in.
No.
This is your gig
No,
now.
this is real. I know. That's why I put it out on social media. I feel like a kid on her first day of school.
That's right.
New kid at school. Hopefully everybody's going to be nice to me, not like,
Yeah.
my books.
What was funny is whoever was in on the weekend recording, they locked the studio door. And so I usually when I come in, like the first thing I do is I grab my headphones and I put them here because I have forgotten, and we'll start on the show. I'm like, oh crap, I got to go run, in there real quick. And I forgot to unlock it. So, it was, I didn't undo the thing on the back of the thing. So you come in the studio and it's locked with Jerome.
Like locked
and
out.
You're probably thinking we're hazing you.
Exactly
we weren't.
what-
We just forgot to unlock it.
Like, hello, can I come in?
Oh my goodness. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And here we go.
Glad to be here.
All right. So the effects of the government shutdown, they're spreading. So here's the question: How does this end?
Originally, I thought it was going to end because after a couple of weeks, the Democrats were going to say, okay, we made our point.
Right.
We're going to come to the table. You do have 2 Democrats and an independent that have already said, we're on board with reopening the government. So they just need a couple more. But the longer it goes, it seems the more dug in they are. And it hasn't become cost prohibitive, apparently, to Chuck Schumer to change anything. And I don't know about Democrats like John Ossoff in moderate districts. They don't seem to be wavering either.
Yeah.
So
They're really sticking together right now.
I have a feeling it's going to end when Donald Trump gets involved.
Yeah. That could very well be. And the bottom line is, will the Democrats be able to squeeze more spending out of the Republicans? Because that's really all we're talking about here. And there's a couple aspects, couple of angles of this at play. And of course, at RedState, you all are all over this and have been for weeks now, over 3 weeks now. Well, honestly, you were covering it in the countdown to that.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're looking at a situation where the Democrats have said it's not good enough to just keep doing what we're doing and just keep doing what we were doing under the Biden administration. We want over $1 trillion, about $1.5 trillion of spending either added back from the rescissions and additional spending in some other areas as well.
Right.
And so the Democrats have thrown down the gauntlet. And here's what's happening is right now, I just talked about, I personally have now experienced the ripple effect of this. And this is the very early waves. So it's like that first little ripple that comes in that's kind of small, then the ripples get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, that's what's going to happen, whether it's flights, which eventually is going to, affect distribution of goods and things like that. And then the Trump administration has said, no, SNAP, federal food stamp money is not going out on November 1st as things stand.
Right.
So that whole thing, as far as people not getting their food stamp, I say theirs, we're paying for it, but you know what I mean? So I don't want to rehash everything that's happening because we've talked about that, but now we got a situation where the media has a whole new set of sob stories. We know they're going to say, well, the party that's in power is the Republicans, so clearly it's on them, without the nuance of saying you actually have to have 60 votes in the Senate under the rules.
Yeah.
So the Democrats can stop this with the 40, whatever they have.
Yeah, it is. It all does rest with them. Now, I don't know if you saw that. I think it's Marriott Miller Meeks that introduced a bill to fund SNAP.
Right.
A standalone bill, kind of like they did with the military and essential employees last week. And again, I'm like, that's smart. Make the Democrats vote on that too.
Yep.
Because here's the thing that's crazy. The Republicans are the ones in power. They're the majority power. They won the 2024 election. They implemented their policy goals that they ran on, and the Democrats are basically saying, no,
right.
We want to have it our way, even though we're not the ones in power.
Right.
But when they're in power, they want to have it their way too. It's like, I mean, I get that. That's natural, but it's like there's something's got to give there, and it's supposed to be the party that's not in power.
So here's the thing, though, is that we do have a history of Republicans going, media's being mean to me. I'm afraid of what's going to happen back home. I need to start making calls to the party boss to say, guys, you got to do something. Okay, fine. Give them PBS. That was only 900 million. Just do it. Just do it. Just give them, this. And that's what I worry about happening. Now, hopefully Bob Onder here in about an hour and 10 minutes is going to tell us, no, we're resolved. We're ready to go home for the holidays.
I was going to say, I haven't seen much wavering on the Republican part, and I will give them credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the smartest thing they could do. It might be some short-term pain, but that's the smartest thing the Republicans do. Because if you give in on this, it's like a kid with candy.
Yeah, with an addiction, with the sugar addiction.
Yeah.
Well, it's also ridiculous, though, that the whole thing, to my understanding, was because of the continuing resolution.
Right.
Is you already voted yes and got what you wanted last time, and the Republicans were saying, fine, we'll just keep that, we'll honor that, we'll keep that going, and that's not good enough. And now you're trying to hold the entire country hostage. You are the ones, the Democrats are the ones that keep voting no to reopening it, and then pointing their finger saying, well, it's because they're not going to give us what we want. And it's like, what you want is not financially sustainable.
It's not even logical.
No.
Holding their breath till they get their way.
Right. And I'm like, okay, keep holding your breath. I'm fine with that. But and the thing is that the actual really conservative Republicans are irritated because all we're talking about is keeping the status quo, which is already too expensive.
And through November 21st.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now what are we going to do? I mean, we're already up against that.
Right.
I don't know. It is maddening. I hope the Republicans stand firm, as painful as it. They're never going to catch a break from the legacy media. So what?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this is a wear them down type of technique, the Democrats, because again, the lackeys in the media, we know how that goes. People and those who don't follow the news real closely.
Sure.
They just look at, well, who's in charge? That's who I blame. And they're not going to see the nuance. So that's why it's up to everybody in your real world jobs out there in your real world thing. When somebody goes, can you believe they're shutting down the government? I've got a cousin who's on SNAP. She's got 4 kids and she's a single mom, and they're going to deny that President Trump's going to deny her food stamp. That's where you need to just gently say, well, no, actually the Republicans have voted to keep that going. Actually, the Democrats stopped that. The Republicans didn't do that. So I empathize with the pain if you want, and just say, but be mad at the right people.
I really do hope they have that standalone vote on the SNAP funding.
Yeah, they should. And because every one of those they put up there, it's on record again to that cousin with the 4 kids, the hypothetical cousin. They're not going to watch that.
Look,
sort
there's
of
the
stuff.
votes.
Right.
I can show them to you.
Which they're not going to go look at, but that's why it takes people who do know to get out there and say, oh, no, let me tell you the truth. Because you want to tell the truth. It's very damning for the far left right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I guess, like I said, they're going to hold their breath until they get their way.
I saw it on Twitter. It must be true.
Oh, man.
You know, is President Trump really retaliating against the TV commercial?
Oh, I want to talk about this here in a little bit.
And who's he telling the truth about? Ronald Reagan? It's been a wild couple of days on the political roller coaster, and we will explain at 6:35.
We are going to do that at that point. Well, let's talk about also, where do we go from here?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
So there's where the politics goes from here, and then there's where we go from here. I've mentioned a couple times the delays in the airport, and while that was irritating, to me, because I'm thinking, I was sitting there at the Philadelphia airport last night, and I'm sitting there going, oh, this is nothing compared to what's going to be in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Holiday travel.
Yeah. And that's part of the leverage that the Democrats are looking at. They want the chaos in the airports. They want people not traveling. They want retailers, screaming bloody murder. They want, basically Amazon to say, we can't get the stuff that you're ordering. Because those air traffic controllers, they deal with those planes too.
Well, yeah.
I had actually not considered that.
Yeah.
With how prevalent online shopping's become and how they actually get, you always just assume trucks and trains, but how many presents are people trying to order now when they're on sale or deals are going on, especially with Black Friday about to come up and Cyber, what is it? Cyber Monday, I think.
It's Cyber Monday, right?
Yeah. Where, so that's going to definitely, it's going to make for a very unfortunate holiday if people are trying to get their stuff in soon.
But that's the thing. That's the political leverage.
It is. It is. But I mean, the Republicans just need to keep pounding the message. Tell the Democrats to vote yes to reopen it. We'll get things back running again.
Well, but this wouldn't be as beneficial to the Democrats if Democratic voters were not consistently defending and backing it up. I mean, how are people still falling for this when the all the information available says, here's what's going on? I mean, we have fun with the dueling sound bites, but it's very clear that if you look at the voting record, it's almost unanimously on the left side, keep it shut down, don't do this. And then you have people coming out, I can't remember who it was, but there's a clip where the person says this, we are hoping that this is going to be painful for people and that this causes them to suffer so that they side with us. And so you're actively doing things to hurt people, a lot of which are probably your own voters. And then the people being affected that are on your side are like, yes, keep hurting us and we'll blame Orange Man. I mean, how does that?
You just nailed it.
That's it.
Oh my goodness.
And anything to oppose the bad Orange Man.
I mean, so it's like I said, it's one thing to say, okay, we know who's the scoundrel in all this, but understand that what they really want is for this to cause pain in each and every one of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to do that. I mean, it's going to do that. So, and I'm telling you, you need to be taking evasive measures now when you're planning for the holidays.
Well, I am good there because I don't fly.
Yeah, I had that conversation with Rachel last night because I was so mad after getting molested by the TSA again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy really enjoyed and took his job seriously.
He was a big fan, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He decided that my eye roll and sigh was enough reason for him to think he was going to puff up and bark at me. That doesn't work with me. And this is the area where you're supposed to comply with everything for these people who might have a GED. You know, and so let's just say we're not friends in real life.
He's not inviting you to dinner.
No, he's not. You know, and that's the thing is, you know, I mean, Rachel's trying to calm me down because I am so livid over all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, if I'm at a restaurant or I'm at a concert or I'm at a bar and some guy says, stand there, don't move, and then grabs your junk, I'm knocking him out.
Yes.
That he's unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what's happening.
I'm filing charges.
Yeah. You put a blue shirt on him in an airport and you just have to let him have his jollies.
One more reason I enjoy the fact that I don't fly.
Yeah. And that's why I told Rachel, said, this is one of the reasons I can't stand to fly and I try not to.
Yeah.
You know what this doesn't happen? On the trains.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that is true.
Yeah. So that's where that's at. But this is the type of thing that they really, you know, that they want to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So we've already got a little bit of talk going on about this, you know, the president being mad about this ad that Ontario, now it wasn't the Canadian government. It was the Ontario, is that a province there? I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Provincial government aired during the World Series. And the president actually got so angry. He's like, I'm raising tariffs on them to punish them for the TV ad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's find out what was actually said, and then who's actually right, because the president then went on to say, well, Reagan loved tariffs. Did he? So I actually happen to have a friend who's a recognized beyond expert when it comes to Reagan's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's compare the notes and just get to the truth, regardless of where the truth falls.
Fair enough.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On NewsTalkSTL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the NewsTalkSTL app and listen anytime, anywhere. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool too, a high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. NewsMax.com or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Colombo and Company.
On Monday, we start another week with the government shutdown that's now lasted nearly a month. We'll discuss the latest, plus Gabe Pfeiffer, Paul Kurtman, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
All right. You know what I do here is I want to call balls and strikes, and I want to get to what's true. Okay. So Ronald Reagan, tariff enthusiast?
Not sure. I would think that's a fair description.
Okay, let's go through what's happening here. Did President Trump really say he was going to raise tariffs, because he's mad about a TV commercial?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what he said. So here's what happened is the Ontario provincial government in Canada bought an ad, a 60-second ad in the World Series. And it's a bunch of B-roll of like Americana. So it's like American stuff. And then all it did was use a bunch of clips from Ronald Reagan. And so here's the actual ad, that aired on here. So just in your mind, just get rolling farmlands and people going to the factory and families. That's what you've got here. So here's how the ad actually aired.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Okay, so that's what really upset President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he was asked about that by some reporters, and here's a clip of what he said in response to that.
I don't know. They cheated on a commercial. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs, and they said he didn't. And I guess it was AI or something. They cheated badly. Canada got caught cheating on a commercial. Can you believe it?
Okay, Ronald Reagan loved tariffs? Huh?
Yeah. I'm going to be real upfront about this. I did not dig into this.
I did.
Right, so I'm going to leave that
I'm
to
a
you.
Reagan guy.
I'm going to leave that to you. The only thing I'm going to say is when I initially saw the hubbub over it and saw his reaction, I did see that there was a statement put out by the Reagan Foundation that was critical of the ad, saying that this was in some respect somehow taken out of context or didn't tell the full story. So,
and that's actually true.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the extent of my knowledge. And if that's the case, then I think it's fair to criticize it for that.
Right. Yeah. And it was funny because they said, well, they didn't get our permit. Well, they don't need your permission to do that. These were speeches that were delivered to the American people.
Yeah, I think those are in the public domain.
They're in public domain. They don't need your permission. But for instance, here is President Reagan from 1988. And this is at the State of the Union address.
One of the greatest contributions the United States can make to the world is to promote freedom as the key to economic growth. A creative, competitive America is the answer to a changing world, not trade wars that would close doors, create greater barriers, and destroy millions of jobs. We should always remember protectionism is destructionism. America's jobs, America's growth, America's future depend on trade that is free, open, and fair.
Okay, so one of the more definitive books on Reagan's legacy is called Getting Right with Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
That was written by Dr. Marcus Switcher. I happen to know him. He's at the University of West Virginia.
I think I've been at something that he's spoken at, or
Yeah, he's had a couple of events here. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I sent him the question. I'm like, Marcus, what's the bottom line on this? What's true and what's not? And so here's how Marcus answered that question for me.
Ronald Reagan believed in free trade. If you review his radio addresses, his diary, his autobiography, and his televised remarks, that is clear. Although the Canadian advertisement lacked some context, the overarching message that tariffs are counterproductive and make us poorer is one Reagan would have agreed with. Although he occasionally enacted targeted protectionist measures, Reagan was a principled free trader who set the stage for expanded global trade in the 1990s that made the United States and the world richer.
Okay, so I'm not trying to argue and debate. The tariff policy right now.
Right.
I'm because I'm kind of a history nerd and I'm a big fan of Ronald Reagan. I want to get to what's true about what's being said right now, because it seems like history is being rewritten right now for the current political moment, and I hate that.
Right. No, I mean, if it's not supportable, then that's not a strong argument to make. And
Right.
I'm one of those tariff agnostic people right now. I understand that there may be benefits to using them, that it's part of a leverage strategy and deal making, but I also understand that there are knocks on them as well.
Right.
As to
We're the
this-
ones who are going to pay.
As to this particular issue or this particular kerfuffle, if you will, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want our policy being set on this sort of basis.
Right. Yeah. Enacting an additional tariff because I'm mad at you is not a good public policy reason. Now, listen, if you're for the tariffs, I understand both sides of the argument, but can we agree that you really pissed me off is not a reason to enact a tax increase?
I have one thought about that, though.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. Is it possible that there is some strategy going on here to pit Doug Ford in Ontario against Mark Carney and the Canadian government overall? Because Carney and Trump have gotten to be kind of buddy-buddy.
They seem to be establishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Anybody's better than Trudeau.
And Ontario's kind of been the fly in the ointment as far as some of these negotiations go. So I wonder if there might not even be some effort to really put some extra heat on Doug Ford and Ontario to get better results with our negotiations with Canada.
Let's hope that's the case.
Maybe.
That he's doing 80-60 chess right now kind of thing.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but I'm thinking sometimes there is actually a method to the madness that I wasn't aware of initially. And then I'm like, oh, okay, kind of get that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm hoping that's it. And it wasn't just, I'm mad.
Right. Yeah, because you looked at his Truth Social. I'm like, man, you got so much to do. This is what you're angry about?
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody has an off night.
Well, maybe that's the strategy, though, is he's just setting the pace to say, don't make me mad, or we're going to retaliate in whatever economic way we can.
That is one of Donald Trump's strengths, is his ability to keep people off balance and to make them keep them guessing as to where he's actually going with something. And he does, I think, use the sort of the bully persona to his advantage for that. I mean, sometimes maybe it is just reactive. I don't know. I can't promise to have any insight here as to what's going on, but it'll be interesting to see what what discussions evolve this week. I mean, he's in Asia right now, so he's not going to be talking to Carney or the Canadians that much. But I'm sure that Scott Bessent and the other part of the team there'll be some discussions going on.
Oh, because and Trump threatened to cut off discussions. Now that's a leverage right there.
Sure.
That he's doing, because the Canadians, they don't want that.
No, they don't.
Either. Honestly, we shouldn't want that either. But this has been one of our most reliable trading partners, particularly on building materials for decades.
Yeah.
They have a lot of trees up there.
They do,
because they don't have that many people. They got a lot of trees. So there's that aspect of it. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, tariff, no tariff, whatever your position. I'm like, don't rewrite history for the moment.
Right.
And that's really, I think, what bothered me the most on this, because Reagan, we had so much prosperity as a result of Reagan's leadership. Was he perfect? Nope. There were plenty of things that I disagreed with on him, but overall, his free market approach to policies, overall, he made some mistakes on illegal immigration and amnesty. He did do a few targeted, tariffs, but they were temporary for the most part. And so overall, he tore down trade barriers. And that's one of the reasons that we had such prosperity as a result of his leadership.
Yeah, Lunch Lady's saying that Reagan imposed 100% tariffs on Japanese electronics, and then I'm looking through now, and there are other times throughout the years that he had invoked, but as you said, it was mostly a temporary sort of thing that didn't.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about that is Trump himself has said that he doesn't really like tariffs. I mean, he doesn't not like tariffs. But he's also said, I think it would be great if no one had them. I mean, I am using them as a tool. So in other words, he recognizes that the value of free trade too, but he is, I think, obviously more, has more affinity for using them as a tool than perhaps Reagan did.
Yeah.
But Reagan did use them too.
Yeah. Well, then like Marcus Whitcher, we had in there, he goes, while he did use a few protectionist measures, including tariffs, overall his legacy was free trade and lowering them because of the way that Reagan thought that they hurt us. And that was Reagan's take, which is why that's my point on it is, you all know I'm not a tariff guy. I'm a free trade guy. But when on this, I'm like, well, let's at least set the record straight on what Reagan's history is.
And Vicky points out as well that it makes her mad that it has been allowed for all these other countries to do enormous tariffs against us, and no one has said or done anything about that. But now that we're tariffing back, then all of a sudden we seem to have an issue, because I know with some of the people I talk to, the belief is that if you don't have fair markets, you really can't have a free market. So
the thing is, the tariffs are a tax on us.
True.
But that's the bottom line, is we're the ones who pay it. That's just the economic reality of it. So but they're tariffing us, frankly, that hurts them.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I say I'm tariff agnostic.
Yeah.
Because I see both the arguments of it, but I don't know. Thousands of workers in St. Louis have decided to stay off the job, and we've got an update for you in the news dump at 6:50.
I am just a man, not superhuman. I'm not superhuman. Someone save me from the haze. It's just another war.
Our government is too big and it spends too much.
Just a step on the edge.
Still waking up like you fought a bear in your sleep? Yeah, let's fix that. This Labor Day, starting September 5th, save up to $725 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, Serta, and Beautyrest, only at Snooze Mattress Company in Chesterfield Valley. Here's the real game changer, Dream Mapping. We scan your pressure points and match you to the perfect mattress. No guesswork, just real comfort, personalized for you. Plus, 0% easy financing and local no-pressure service. Get in here, because if you don't snooze, you lose.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Someone who is fighting cancer, undergoing surgery, or experiencing a life-threatening illness. The need for blood is critical and constant.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder. A single blood donation can save lives. Donate blood today and offer help and hope to those who need it most.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right. The Boeing employees vote on the new offer. It was a very, very, very close vote.
Yeah.
Very close vote. Also, 7:35, we're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder because the stakes are getting a lot higher in the government shutdown standoff. And so far, we've got a pretty good World Series working.
Yeah.
Yeah, baseball needs this. It's been a fun postseason. I mean, I say that with the Cardinals not being in it, but it's been a fun postseason.
Very good. I've got my managing editor is a Dodgers fan. So,
oh, no kidding.
We know not to bug her in the evenings.
No. They're very, 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 very busy on that. All right. It is, what the heck time is it? 6:48. Let's go and dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. Boeing's striking workers, I guess more accurately, non-workers right now.
Yeah.
They will stay off the job. Multiple reports say the vote was 51 to 49%.
Wow.
Yep. On Sunday, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers rejected the company's latest offer. The company is accusing the union bosses of misleading workers about the proposal. That strike began 3 months ago. It involves about 3,200 workers, both sides of the river, because we've got obviously, the north part of the metro area and Muscuda as well. So 3,200 IAM workers that are now off the job. And that, I got to think, 51 to 49. So you got half this workforce that says, guys, I haven't been paid in 3 months.
Yeah.
I need to get back to work. At 45% wage seems like a pretty good deal over the course of even 4 or 5 years. And so at some point you got to start looking at each other going, why are you keeping me from working right now?
Yeah. Maybe Donald Trump needs to get involved there too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you want to have that art of the deal, this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
However, Boeing has said this is where the numbers are. So at this point, I think both sides have, because they sent in a federal mediator, and the federal mediator basically went, I got nothing. You guys are really too mad at each other. I am not doing this.
Someone's got to find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Is it possible to start tariffing the unions?
There you go.
Wait a second. We're going to send them to Ontario. We're going to do no.
That's right.
Let's triangulate here.
Oh, goodness. All right. The illegal alien who killed a St. Louis police officer last year will be back in court tomorrow. Investigators say Ramon Chavez Rodriguez was drunk when he hit Officer David Lee on I-70. That happened September of 2024. Officer Lee was there because he'd responded to another accident, so he was helping somebody who'd been involved in a crash. Chavez Rodriguez has a plea hearing set in the case. Again, that's Tuesday. He is charged with DUI resulting in the death of a law enforcement officer and speeding. He has a criminal history, and in another case, separate from this, he was sentenced earlier this month to 7 years in prison after pleading guilty to domestic assault. This guy's got a violent history, and he's been in the country for years.
So he's not just a Missouri father, or Missouri man.
No, he is not Missouri man. He is illegal alien who has had multiple contacts with law enforcement. And remember, when this crash happened, Donald Trump and his new policies of administration, they weren't in effect.
No.
This was under the Biden era.
So if he has to serve the 7 years, is that going to be in our prisons on our tax money, or are we going to ship him back to or something?
Well, the 7 years or whatever he ends up, you never actually serve the full 7 years.
Of course
but
not.
that is in our prisons on our dime. And then probably he's going to get shipped off. But with whatever because the assumption that what I'm hearing is that he's going to plead guilty to these as part of a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get whatever years he's going to get. And then we find out, does it run concurrently or consecutively to this?
Yeah.
Even though they're separate cases. So the judge could say, when you're done with that one, then you serve this one. Or he could say it starts on day one and you serve both of them at the same time.
Bottom line is he's going to probably be in prison for a while.
Yeah.
And then after that, presumably he will be sent back to where he's from, depending on who's in charge of the country at that point.
Well, and that also shows you that the 2028 election matters.
And the 32.
And the 32 election, that matters on this, because look at how aggressive the far left is when it comes to fighting for illegal aliens. They are fighting for people like this guy.
And Don makes an excellent point that it really doesn't matter because the guy gets to go home and the officer doesn't. And that's
absolutely
valid point.
Yeah, there is not going to be complete justice on this either way.
No. No, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible situation. All right. So speaking of, let's see here. Let's talk about the politics of. We talk about the elections. The shutdown day 27. At this point, at some point, we kind of lost interest because we've been going first couple of weeks. Like, did it affect your life? No. Unless you were a federal worker, it just wasn't affecting you. Well, now it's starting to affect us. Like we knew that it would. I dealt with it last night with flight delays coming out of airports that had delays and they cited this because of air traffic controller staffing issues. And so that affected flights out of where I was, which up until late last night, I was in Philadelphia. And so that affected that, which affected other connecting, which affected, a lot of other things. So let's see here. Hakeem Jeffries was on CBS's Face the Nation, repeating their same mantra.
As Democrats, we've maintained from the very beginning and continue to maintain, we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone, either at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement.
Yeah, and the thing is that for them right now, Susie, bipartisan means, well, not the bipartisan thing we have in place now.
Right.
It's the bipartisan means give us what we want, even though you won the election.
Yes. Yeah, them speak.
Exactly. On the Republican side, from Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy, Senator John Barrasso.
This is mean. It is heartless. Evidently, they think that withholding paychecks from people who are working or possibly even holding back food from women and infants and children, maybe they think that gives them leverage. I would say leverage for what? For health care for illegal immigrants paid for by taxpayers?
Yeah, I mean, the air traffic controllers, I mean, this is really the key point here. They're supposed to show up to work even without a paycheck.
Yeah.
But
think about that. Though.
Yeah, but if you're going now a month with no paycheck, at some point you're like, I can DoorDash and make some money and pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
I got a utility bill and they don't care why I don't have the money. And so, hey, I'm calling in sick. I'm taking PTO. Why? Because I can run a bunch of DoorDash or Grubhub or something like that. I can do some IT consulting. I can go, do some coding.
Right.
And I can make some money, and you can't blame them for that.
No. I mean, it's so maddening because
you can't say that word on the radio.
Maddening?
No, I saw what was about to come out. I saw what was in your brain.
I held it back.
Yes.
I'm learning, but I held it back. But yeah, you listen to Jeffries, and we'll talk to anyone, anywhere, bipartisan. Bipartisan would be meeting with the Republicans and voting to reopen the government.
Right. And then you want to make your case for another $1 trillion in spending. Okay. Try to make that case.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're making their case, and not only have the Republicans, but the public has said no.
Yeah.
So they don't want us talking about healthcare for illegal aliens. They don't, which is not what the $1 trillion would be for, but a part of it would be.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is that no NPR or PBS stations have gone off the air, and they're not going to, but they want the federal funding of it.
Yep.
They want all this additional spending, but they're saying, well, they're just not talking to us. So it's really their fault. And when the Republicans are saying, you're going to come ask us for another $1 trillion of spending when the country gave us a mandate to cut spending. And honestly, the Republicans haven't even done that to any real degree.
They haven't. It's, I don't know. I get so frustrated.
Yeah. Okay, now if you think that's frustrating, let's talk about this race in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like Zohran Mamdani is going to be the next mayor. So think about this, on the 25th anniversary of 9/11, this guy is going to be the mayor of New York City. And so they had a big rally for him and his campaign last night. Among the speakers, AOC.
The future, our future, is not determined by a despot in a house built by enslaved people.
And there are people who on the left who say she's so smart.
What?
I think she rent the White House.
Which didn't Barack Obama and Joe Biden live in that house too?
We don't talk about things like that.
What is with that accent? Letitia James does it too. It's like she's trying to sound like a preacher. Yeah. Like what is that? Is that how you talk?
I know, she sounded like a valley girl who missed.
Oh my Gosh.
Oh, geez. All right. So that's happening. Blues on the road tonight. They are in Pittsburgh for a 6 p.m. game against the Penguins. This one's on FanDuel. World Series Game 3. The series is tied at 1-1. That series resumes tonight in Los Angeles. First pitch is going to be at 7 o'clock. That game is on Channel 2. Fox is carrying the World Series on that. So we got a good one, man. This has been a fun
Keep it exciting.
one to watch. Did you see the Babylon Bee the other day?
Mm-mm.
Right before the World Series started, it said LA Dodgers start with 7-run deficit as Trump decides to tariff Canadian baseball teams.
Love it.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump's week-long visit to Asia has taken him to Japan, where he has met with the emperor. This evening, he sits down with newly minted Prime Minister Takaichi. The president is also looking forward to this week's meeting with Chinese President Xi. That sit-down will take place in South Korea. It comes amid reports of significant progress on a U.S.-China trade agreement. Wall Street pumped up about that. Stock futures sharply higher ahead of this morning's opening bell. No end in sight to the government shutdown. It's now day 27. It's already having an impact on air travel as air traffic controllers work without pay. A controller's shortage triggered a brief ground stop the other day at LAX.
Federal Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warning the government shutdown is affecting air traffic controllers, worrying about their next paycheck.
They got a big fat zero. No paycheck is coming on Tuesday.
Duffy said on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures, many already calling in sick and taking other action ahead of Tuesday.
If I don't feel like I have enough controllers or enough controllers that are focused, we will slow down traffic. We will stop traffic.
The FAA says a staffing shortage in California held up flights departing for Los Angeles. The agency issuing a temporary ground stop at one of the world's busiest airports, LAX. Staffing shortages also causing disruptions Sunday at another busy airport, Newark. I'm Julie Walker.
Jamaica's already feeling the impact of powerful Hurricane Melissa ahead of the main event, and the Cat 5 storm makes landfall tomorrow. The rain's already been coming down in sheets, winds picking up along with the ocean waves. Melissa may be the most powerful hurricane to ever slam the island. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures are up 204 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 308. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you have an IRA or 401k, this is a message you really need to hear. In just the last 2 years, the price of 1 troy ounce of silver has more than doubled, up over 100%, and silver is now poised for major gains in the months ahead. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD to learn how to convert a portion of your retirement assets into physical silver and position yourself for the next wave of growth in precious metals. It's not too late to leverage the power of silver to help secure your financial future. With the devaluation of the U.S. dollar and volatility in the stock market, silver continues to be a safe haven asset that investors trust. When you call 800-741-GOLD, you'll get your free precious metals rollover guide, plus a copy of former IMF Chairman Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. The time is now to consider adding silver into the mix to protect your retirement. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-4653. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool too, a high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Criminals in charge of holding on to criminals?
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Right. What is that? We've now heard of criminals being cops, including in Illinois. So not like it's that far away.
Yeah.
But in another part of the country, criminals in charge of supervising the criminals.
Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
They're just doing jobs Americans won't do.
Right. Yeah, that's right. What are you going to do? You going to pick the vegetables? No. How about you become the guard in the jail? Okay. That's happening in one of the wokest left-wing cities here in America. We're now discovering it is 7:06. By the way, 7:20 here. I just want to put this out there early. I'm going to tell the story of something I got to witness on Friday. And it's one of those things where you're kind of going, what? I'm delayed. They're not letting me off the plane, but it was worth every extra minute because of what I got to witness.
I'm excited to talk about that.
It really, yeah. And I normally would never do this. If you're listening on the app or you're listening, over the air and you're able to, you may want to watch us on video, just at least for that segment. Then, we're still on the air and on the app after that, because I've got video of what I was able to witness. And it was the return of one of America's World War II heroes to the United States.
Pretty amazing.
And we actually got to see it. And I couldn't believe, once we figured out what was actually happening beyond just a soldier's casket, it was really amazing. I can't believe I got to see it. So we'll talk about that right around 7:20. Joined now by Becky Noble from RedState. You ever heard of RedState, Susie?
Once or twice.
Check that out, redstate.com. Here's the article title. Here's the latest from the Just When You Thought It Couldn't Get Any Weirder in Seattle files. And Becky wrote that article. And so, Becky, please tell me I'm overstating this, that illegal aliens, those living in violation of our laws, are hired to be prison jail guards overseeing other people accused of violating our laws. Please tell me that that's just me being loopy and goofy and that's not actually happening.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on. I wish I could, but as Susie just said, apparently they're doing the jobs Americans don't want to do. But yeah, in Washington State, they have hired in King County, which is Seattle, where else? They have hired about 30, I think the exact number maybe was 38, but it could be more, about 38 illegal immigrants to work as corrections officers in the King County correctional facilities. So yeah, illegal immigrants are guarding actual citizens. It's pretty crazy.
Becky, when I first saw you were writing this story and then read this story, I was doing the little double take too, because it seems to me like there should be layers of vetting that go into who is placed in roles where they are corrections officers, where they are overseeing prisoners, that sort of thing. And yet somehow that wasn't done here or was intentionally overlooked.
With it being Seattle and the left coast, they could have done maybe some sort of superficial vetting and then got to a point where they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you're fine. Go on ahead. But yeah, you would think there would be not only some sort of state procedure, but maybe even a federal one to vet people to see if they're actually in the country illegally, and B, if they have any criminal record of their own. But when you're talking the left coast, maybe that just doesn't matter. And, I think what's going on with all of this is that they're just the left and Democrats are just trying to normalize illegal immigrants working in places like law enforcement and places that do make you go, oh my God, what are they doing there? They're trying to normalize it.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed in your article is most states, even blue states, have laws that say you have to pass like an FBI background check and this, but Washington apparently has some of these laws, and there's a lawsuit trying to challenge that law. That was referenced in, I believe it was your article on that. So is this even bigger than the dozens of illegal aliens being hired in a corrections position? I mean, is a possibility that the laws that require these positions to be filled by Americans, could that be challenged in court?
Well, yeah, and at least in Washington State it is. And the thing with it is too is that when there was a whistleblower, actually, how all of this came about, a whistleblower came forward and kind of busted him on hiring all of these illegal immigrants. And when they were confronted with it, they were like, well, yeah, we're hiring them. But they tried to play it off as just this big clerical error where they were passed through as being authorized and being okay to hold these positions. And it was somehow a mistake. And so then they were like, well, yeah, there was this quote unquote clerical error that enabled these people to get these jobs. But, oh, by the way, we're not going to fire them. We're going to keep them on. And they're hanging on, and they're refusing to let them go and hire actual Americans to do the job. And it's another example of the left and Democrats, that this is the hill that they're going to die on, is defending illegal immigrants before they look out for Americans.
No, it seems to me like they're talking out, the department is talking out of both sides of their mouths. Because on the one hand, they're saying, oh, there was a clerical error and these people weren't supposed to be hired, but we aren't going to fire them. And aren't they challenging the law itself? And actually, we've got blue on blue crime, basically.
Right.
We've got the King County is challenging Washington State over the law.
Yeah, they're either talking out of both sides of their mouths, or they're talking about they're talking out of another orifice somewhere.
Maybe that too.
Well, yeah. There's a specific law. I mean, imagine that. There's a specific state law that says you can only hire actual Americans to be correctional facility officers. And yeah, they're challenging the law. And you know, if it's happening in Washington State, chances are, I think there's probably a good chance that they'll probably get it overturned. Because I mean, aren't there places on the East Coast, like in New Jersey and New York, and places where they're allowing illegal immigrants to vote in municipal elections?
Yep.
So if they're doing that, what's the next step?
Well, yeah, and that was kind of the question that I've got. We're visiting with Becky Noble from RedState.com, and you can see the article, which is entitled, "Here's the latest from the Just When You Thought It Couldn't Get Any Weirder in Seattle files." And again, RedState.com is where you're going to find that article. So it seems like the dozens of illegal aliens in this job, which is bad enough, Becky, and you did a good job outlining that, of course. And we've also referenced police officers in the state of Illinois and other areas. We had literally a superintendent of the largest school district in the state of Iowa. Also, it turns out, the illegal aliens. So these aren't just the stereotypical making the food in the restaurant or picking the vegetables at harvest time kind of stuff. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about significant positions that matter to public safety and communities. So what's likely the bigger picture? Because it would seem like everybody, even on the left, will go, well, yeah, of course you can't be an illegal alien and be a corrections officer in charge of the other people who are in your situation. You can't do that. But they're all in on this. And you say, this is the hill they're going to die on. I think you're right about that. But it seems like we need to be careful to say this isn't just about Seattle or King County. Where could this go if the left gets their way?
Oh yeah. Like I said, I mean, you have illegals voting in municipal elections in places on the East Coast. One of the tweets that I put in the story was about a police officer in a suburb of Chicago who was just found out to be he'd been in the country probably 10 or 15 years illegally, and they just discovered that he is working as a police officer in a Chicago suburb. If it's happening in places like this, it's going to be happening in other places all over the place. Like you just mentioned, the school superintendent in Iowa. That's a big deal. Those are big jobs that impact everyone, Americans and everyone else who's in the country as well. But again, this appears to be the hill that they're going to die on, and they're trying to normalize it, I think, because they're still under the impression, I think, Democrats and the left, that this is going to be their new crop of voters. And they have a problem because Donald Trump is deporting their new crop of voters. So the ones that are still here, they're going to hang on to for dear life. And, you know, I think that's why. I think they're just that desperate that they think that these are the people who are going to keep them in office.
You know, another area where this has kind of really come to the forefront, and you wrote on this too, Becky, is with CDLs. You've got people that are not here legally and that shouldn't be being granted CDLs, being granted by state of Washington, state of California. And that's had some deadly consequences.
Oh, yeah. Ed, I've been writing extensively on that. There was that horrific crash in Florida back in August. There was another one, a really, really bad one involving about 8 vehicles, I think, last week in California. And they are just, they're giving out these CDL licenses like candy, and they're giving them to people who can't speak English, they can't read road signs, but they're driving an 80,000-pound missile across the country. In the case of the guy who caused the Florida crash, he had gotten his CDL license in California, got all the way across the country into Florida. And so he's one guy. I don't know about anybody else who has read, things that we have covered at Red State about this, but I know myself, every time I get on the interstate now, I'm looking up at the cab to see who's driving the truck,
Yep. All right.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah, it really is. Becky Noble from Red State. The article, once again, here's the latest from the Just When You Thought It Couldn't Get Any Weirder in Seattle files. And that's at redstate.com. Becky, people want to connect with you maybe on social media. What's the way to do it?
Well, of course, you can find me at redstate.com and on Facebook at Becky Noble and on X at Becky Noble 65.
Easy enough. All right, Becky, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Becky.
All right. And she's a St. Louisan too.
And she is a St. Louisan. Got that going on. Yep, absolutely. We don't usually do this, but if you are able to watch us on video, join us on Rumble or Facebook or on X or on YouTube. We've got the video of a fallen serviceman being returned to his country and family after decades at 7:20. Mike will tell us what he saw in person.
You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Starting today, a new feature, The Story Behind the Story. The Story Behind the Story starts tonight.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, Chris Arps here. Join me and the team at Royal Banks of Missouri for their annual Economic Forecast Breakfast. The event takes place on Tuesday, November 18th at the factory in the district of the Chesterfield Valley. You'll hear from their experts and get a better understanding of what to expect from the U.S. economy in 2026 and beyond. Doors open at 7:30 a.m. and the program starts at 8 a.m. Attendance is free, but you do need to reserve a spot. You can RSVP by calling 314-212-1595. That's Royal Banks of Missouri.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connors USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right. Rachel and I got to witness something special on Friday. We just did not know how special until a couple of days later. I have got to share this with you. Yeah. I am telling you. And like Susie said a few minutes ago, we don't normally do this. I mean, wherever you watch or wherever you listen, that's fantastic. Download the app. If you haven't already, you can take us anywhere with that. Obviously 101.9 or 94.1, depending on where you are in the area. But if you're at home or you're already in the office, go to the video stream right now. Then go back to the app or go back to wherever you normally do. But I don't normally do this. So here's the back story. I mentioned that we were in Philadelphia over the weekend for one of Rachel's friends' wedding. And we flew in Friday night. So, I'm up early. I'm already exhausted. Rachel had a long day. We're tired. We land at the airport there. And then we're told, please stay in your seat. There is a World War II soldier's remains on board, and they are going to do the dignified transfer. And there was an escort there. If you've ever seen that movie with Kevin Bacon, who played an escort, it was that. That guy was there with the family member. Now, it just so happened that the remains were being transferred on our side of the plane, so we could see it. And so we recorded the video of it. Obviously, we couldn't hear what was going on, but there was an honor guard. They had, I'm assuming it was a Department of the Army, a special hearse, had the insignia, the flags, flashing lights everywhere. This is all on the tarmac. And we were just told, and one guy started to stand up to, get his thing and be ready. They're like, sit down. They were like, sit.
Yeah.
Now.
You can wait for this.
You can wait. And so I realized, it was a soldier, and we were, kind of doing the math like, wow, war ended in what, 45, 46. And so even if he was one of the last soldiers in, he'd have to be like 100 years old. And we're like, that's really special. The family. Well, that's not what happened, because the flight crew did not know the soldier's name. And then I texted Susie and I said, hey, local media is not covering this story. Do you have any like resources with RedState or, and I'm looking like crazy and I can't find anything. Well, you found out that this wasn't an elderly soldier who died and was coming back home to be buried. And so, let me know when you're ready. Okay. So we've got this video that's rolling here of what they call a dignified transfer. The casket that you're going to see on that video, and I'll put it up on social media later, was that we are 99% certain of Second Lieutenant Charles Arneo. He was killed in the Philippines during the war. This was his remains being brought back to his country and his family after 80 years.
Yep.
That's what we were witnessing. And if you're looking at the video, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see, and it was the flag draped coffin, the honor guard saluting, the escort saluting with the family member. And so these are family members who have heard the stories, I'm sure, of Second Lieutenant Charles Arneo, but obviously have never met him because he died decades before they were born. That was grandpa, or that was great uncle, or whoever he was to them. Second Lieutenant Charles Arneo of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, died courageously in the Philippines during World War II. This is from the statement. It was after 80 years, his remains have been positively identified with the help of DNA. Mr. Arneo is survived by nieces and nephews, and then they list them all out there. He is going to be buried on Thursday at Thomas More Catholic Church in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. In lieu of flowers, donations in his memory may be made to a veterans association. And so they put that out there. But it wasn't until last month that they were able to positively identify his remains. And I don't know how he died, and I didn't dig into that.
No. There's a website, and I'll have to get it, and I'll share it on socials later. When I was trying to kind of figure this out, this is an ongoing process, and there's a department that is dedicated to locating and identifying the remains of U.S. soldiers. And there are still quite a few from World War II that have not been retrieved and identified, but they have a whole, website, and they tell each of their stories once they've been positively accounted for and identified, and the families have been notified. And it's really amazing when you just think of it in terms of the number of people that never got that closure. And maybe, 2 generations later, they're getting some measure of that. And it's pretty amazing. And after doing a lot of digging, I'm 95+% sure that's who that was.
Well, I followed up with what you've got when I was in Philadelphia, and I'm 99% sure you're right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really, it kind of gives you chills when you think about the fact that this is, someone returning home after 80 years.
80. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. According to the division that specializes in everything you just described, the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency said that his family has been notified. Obviously, they say that Arneo was assigned to the Signal Company Aircraft Warning Philippines Department on the Bataan Peninsula in the Philippines. He was a prisoner of war by Japan. He was held by Japan in the Philippines from 1943 to 1944, when the Japanese military moved POWs to Manila for transport to Japan aboard a transit ship called Oryoko Maru. Unaware that the Allied POWs were on board, a U.S. carrier-borne aircraft attacked that ship.
Oh, wow.
Which eventually sank in Subic Bay. He was then transported to Formosa, known today as Taiwan, obviously. Aboard a different ship, the Japanese reported that Arneo was killed on January 9th, 1945, in that sea battle that happened. So they've just now figured out who he was.
Yep.
And there are very, very few World War II veterans left. My grandfather fought in World War II on my dad's side, and he's been gone for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know the number anymore, but it's down. It's very, very few.
Yeah, it is. And The second lieutenant Arneo's name is recorded on the walls of the Missing at Manila American Cemetery, which is an American Battles Monuments Commission site, which is in the Philippines, along with the others who are still missing. A rosette will be placed next to his name to indicate that he has been accounted for as well. So, he'll be buried, like I said, in a couple days, just outside of Philadelphia in New Jersey. But seeing that, even before we knew what this was, when we thought that this was, wow, he must have lived to be 100, kind of thing, when we just thought it was somebody coming home, that was special enough, and there were a couple low kids because people are getting a little antsy. We just had this flight, and it's stuffy when you land, and it's uncomfortable. And, a couple kids were, near us were kind of like, Mommy, let's go. And, my wife is, being, her maternal self going, look out there, that's a soldier, and, of course, having been a mom and a teacher, she was able to even go, whoa, kind of stuff. And so you hear about these, sometimes you see them on the news.
Yeah.
But to see it in person,
it's got to be amazing.
Wow.
When I was looking into this, trying to figure out who this might be, I was coming across stories from April of 2025 and earlier September of 2025. I mean, there are other stories like this out there. So over and over again, I mean, it's amazing to me that there are people who are dedicated to still finding these people and identifying them.
Yeah, because there are hundreds still.
Oh, yeah. So it is not that uncommon, actually, for this to happen, but it is still amazing when you think about it. And as you said, he died in 1945.
Right.
And he's coming home 80 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were just fortunate and blessed enough to be able to see it.
Pretty amazing.
And the video and Rachel took that video. She had the window seat. So she took that video, and it turned out very clear. You can see everything that's happening.
Absolutely.
And PMS says something I think we're all thinking. Thank you for your service, sir, and welcome home.
Yeah, that's the simplest but most profound way you can do it. So
absolutely.
If you hear or see anything like that, I hope that you'll share those with us too.
Yeah. It is, when you go like if you go to the museums,
right?
It's amazing to see the stories of each of the individual soldiers and the ones who came home and the ones who didn't. But then seeing the dignified transfer, it's just, I don't know. It really brings home to you the reality of what these people did and the sacrifices that they made.
Well, and also when you look at, they said nieces and nephews. They didn't say so. He likely was killed before he could marry and have his own family.
Right. Exactly.
So there's family who heard about, Uncle Charles, Uncle Charlie, Uncle Chuck, whatever he was called in the family lore. And so for the first time, they had the physical, there he is.
Yeah.
When that casket, came down, and the precision that the honor guard, used, and the white gloves and everything, it drives home, because nobody out there would have, their parents probably weren't alive when this happened. But that did not stop the measure of dignity and the measure of reverence that was applied. And so I'm going to put that video up a little bit later on social media. We just put it on there, and we'll have that so you can share that as well. As far as I can tell, Second Lieutenant Charles Arneo had no connection to St. Louis, other than a guy from St. Louis happened to see the dignified transfer and see his family get closure.
Pretty amazing.
Now, President Trump retaliates against a TV ad. At 7:35, we'll get Congressman Dr. Bob Onder's take on the president's promise to increase taxes over Canada's commercial about tariffs.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool too. A high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Dr. Draghi and his team at Esquire Sports Medicine get pros back on the field, so they can certainly help you. You need an MRI, X-ray, CAT scan, pre- or post-surgery treatment, rehab. The chiropractic physicians at Esquire can help you or connect you to experts you need. And I know you're hurting right now. You don't want to wait. Esquire sees new patients often within 24 hours. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
We know the radical left can be vile in ways that should cause them to be embarrassed, but they have no shame. There are many Democrat politicians at all levels who do not like what radical leftists are doing, but they are afraid to speak out. To his credit, Pennsylvania Senator Fetterman has denounced many in his party, acknowledging they have gone too far. And I'm sure other Democrats share his thoughts, but again, too afraid to speak out. They are hostages of the radical left. You know, in the past, Democrat strategist James Carville complained about them, saying you need to focus on what's important to Americans. Stop the name calling. Carville is the mind that got Bill Clinton from Arkansas to the White House. But now even Carville, Democrat strategist, is melting down. I want you to listen carefully here. He says, my fantasy dream is all this nightmare ends in 2029. Trump and those who support him should be put in orange pajamas, march down Pennsylvania Avenue. The public should be invited to spit on them, shave their heads, put them in pajamas, and spit on them. For those who claim Trump is Hitler, that's pretty much what Hitler did to Jews and other enemies.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
In all these years that Wellington Environmental has been my sponsor, I've never mentioned their duct cleaning services. Allergy season is here, and Wellington crews clean air ducts daily in homes and commercial buildings, also cleaning air handling units and diffusers in commercial facilities. Why? Well, because people will see black dirt and mold on the vents, or they are actually suffering from allergies. Don't be fooled by low-cost duct cleaning providers saying they charge only per vent, because once they get on site, the price will skyrocket. Wellington does not do this, never has. Wellington will give you an estimate, and you say Larry Connors, and immediately you get a 20% discount. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 314-644-4930. Make your home and business better, safer with Wellington. Be well with Wellington.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
What happens next?
The Democrats appear perfectly happy to keep the political theater going.
Happens right here.
Many of you have asked all of us, how will it end? We have no idea.
101.9 and 94.1.
The best talk in St. Louis.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, how strong will Republicans in Congress be in the face of the increased impact on the shutdown? So basically, it's where do we go from here? What can we expect? 7:36 right now, joined now by Congressman Bob Onder. I want to get to that in just a second. Bob, let me start with this current, as Susie so eloquently put it, kerfuffle that's happening. The president, obviously angered by this television ad that the Ontario government puts out using Ronald Reagan talking about free trade and protectionism and tariffs and things like that. The president says, I'm going to increase 10% tariffs on Canada in addition to what we already have because I'm angry about that particular. I mean, that's basically what he said. What's your reaction when you hear a policy and a tariff decision being made in response to a television ad?
Yeah, good morning, and congratulations to Susie for first day
Thank
co-hosting.
you.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
that, Congressman.
Yes, big fan for a long time. Well, it's this tariff issue is an interesting one. 10% extra tariff over an ad on Game 1 of the World Series. I went back and read that entire address by Ronald Reagan. And the context was he was imposing tariffs on Japanese semiconductors because of Japan's violation of previous trade agreements. But I have to say the ad was pretty accurate with regard to what Ronald Reagan's position was as outlined in that speech. Ronald Reagan talked about imposing trade barriers and other restrictions of any kind are steps that I'm loath to take. He talked about how the path to prosperity, not just for the United States, but for all nations, is freer and fairer trade. But he was emphasizing the aspect of fair trade and pushing back against what he saw at the time as unfair Japanese practices regarding semiconductors. But I am hoping that ultimately, as Ronald Reagan was advocating in 1987, I'm advocating ultimately the Trump trade policies evolve into one of freer and fairer trade, because heaven knows many countries have been taking advantage of us for a long time.
It's true. Bob, one of the things that I thought might be possibly going on here is an effort to put a little added pressure on Ontario in particular, because I think they may be the ones driving some of the reluctance on Canada's part and Mark Carney's part to work with the United States and come up with favorable terms. So I guess we'll find out more this week, but whether that has that effect as opposed to just being, I didn't like what you said, so I'm raising tariffs.
Right. Well, there's no question. You punch President Trump, he punches you back harder. But I hope that isn't the main motivation for this change in trade policy. And the overall Trump trade policy will be on trial at the U.S. Supreme Court. The Constitution pretty clearly gives Congress the power to enact tariffs, and the question before the court is whether the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, i.e. EPA, gives President Trump the power to impose the tariffs that he is now imposing. So that will be probably one of the most important Supreme Court decisions in quite some time.
Yeah, completely. We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Okay, I got to ask you about the shutdown. I experienced a little bit of it last night with flight delays that were residual from, connecting flights that were delayed in other areas to where I was, which meant that I was missing connections. And so we're starting to see how this is going to affect a lot of people. We're now being told that the food stamp SNAP benefits are not going to go out November 1st if the shutdown's still going on, which it sure appears that the shutdown is going to keep going on. So where is the Republican caucus right now as far as holding the line? We know who's at fault. We know how ridiculous it is. The Democrats are what they're demanding. And we don't necessarily need to rehash that unless you want. But basically, I think a lot of questions are right now is, will the Republicans hold the line and say, we will not give in and we will not restore and we will not increase all of that insane spending, especially the parts that go to illegal aliens?
Yeah, Mike, it seems to be the Democrat strategy, and Schumer really articulated it when he said every day gets better for us. The Democrat strategy seems to be to impose maximum pain on the American people. As you alluded to, SNAP benefits run out on November 1st. We already have 700,000 federal workers furloughed. About 1.4 million have gone without pay. I'm suspending my pay. But we cannot give into the legislative terrorism. Look, you do not get a wish list of everything on the progressive radical agenda in return for a 7-week continuing resolution keeping the government open. You just don't. And if we gave in to that, we might as well hand over the keys of the legislative branch of government to Senator Schumer and to Hakeem Jeffries. We're not going to do it. But so far, everything I've heard from my colleagues, we have frequent conference calls led by House leadership, and folks are holding the line, and I think we will continue to do so because everyone, even our more moderate members, do understand you cannot let Chuck Schumer and the Democrats get away with this.
All right. Now, I want to follow up on something you just said, and it was kind of almost an offhand part of your discussion, but we had some people ask, oh, okay, but what about Congress getting paid? So you're among those who suspended your own pay during the shutdown.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent a letter a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And in the letter, I also asked that Hakeem Jeffries' pay gets suspended too. I don't think House administration did that, though.
I by the way, I know Susie, I'm going to hand this back to Susie, but I got to tell you, I appreciate that you're walking the walk on that. So just for what that's worth, that's not news talk. I'm sure most will agree. I appreciate that as the gesture that you made there.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, Bob.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
I saw just the other day that Marriott Miller Meeks has introduced a measure to see about voting on the SNAP benefits independently, just like with the military and certain essential employees last week, which of course the Senate Democrats voted down. Do you think that's something that might be called up for a vote, that you all may be called back in to vote on that if they can get the Senate to vote on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if what we are doing, the administration is doing as well as we Republicans in Congress, we want to do everything we can to minimize the pain and the impact of the shutdown on our constituents. So, of course, we know that last week the Senate held a vote to allow federal workers, essential federal workers, including our military personnel, to continue to get paid despite this shutdown. Every Democrat but 3 voted against that. So I really don't know how the Democrats would, you would think they would support continuation of SNAP benefits, but I don't know. I certainly would, as well as the Senate bill to keep our troops and our ATC controllers paid. But I think the Democrats, again, I hate to put it this way, but their strategy seems to be to inflict maximum pain on the American people, and it's just wrong.
And here's another story that I found on your social media feed that I actually wouldn't have actually caught because everything's being overshadowed by all the other news items right now. But there was a court ruling regarding the gender mutilation as it relates to the Biden era law. This was what, the ACA that was on trial here. And we've got another ruling that frankly is moving things in a common sense, moral and medically ethical direction. What actually happened?
Yeah. Over the years, the U.S. Supreme Court has gotten a lot of things wrong, but they've gotten this one right fairly consistently. So remember, in August of last year, the Supreme Court ruled that Title IX, having to do with sex discrimination at the higher education level, that Title IX sex could not be reinterpreted by the Biden administration to include gender identity. And then in June, of course, U.S. v. Scrimetti, they upheld the Tennessee law banning chemical and surgical mutilation of children in the name of changing their sex. And now, just last week, the Supreme Court struck down the Biden redefinition of sex with regard to federal anti-discrimination law. And as you mentioned, the main implication for that would be in that Obamacare space. But also, if you applied federal anti-discrimination law and said that sex included gender identity, hospitals, including hospitals of religious faith, Catholic hospitals and others, could be forced to provide so-called gender-affirming care, chemical and surgical mutilation. So that was a big victory for common sense, for the rule of law. Look, you cannot look back at a civil rights statute that was written decades and decades ago where I don't think many people even heard of this idea of cross-sex transgender identification and say that that's what Congress meant when they passed the bill. So again, a victory for common sense, the rule of law, and a victory to protect kids and protect the conscience of healthcare providers who don't want to be caught up in this nonsense.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, great chat with you again. Thanks so much for the update, and we'll see whether or not things have changed next week. I've got a feeling that this shutdown is just gonna drag on for a while. I have a feeling this is a really high stakes showdown you're involved, or shakedown or showdown you're involved in.
I think that's a good way of putting it, and I agree. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. All right, Congressman Bob Onder.
Yes. And you know what? I am not Gabe Pfeiffer, but I'm still going to tell you about something good coming up right after this.
Yes.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
People talk about federal money as if it falls from heaven. You know, we thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or inversion vodka. Enter now at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come experience our tasting room in historic Defiance. Enjoy Stolock whiskey, inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in our beautiful cocktail lounge, cigar room, or out on the patio with live music every weekend. Don't forget, win a bottle of Stolock or inversion at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. There's going to be a lot of intense stuff and stuff we disagree on and stuff we're angry about. But let's still get this week started off right. Susie?
Yeah, let's do that.
Please tell me something good.
Tell me something good.
So October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And in honor of that, we're going to bring you the story, beautiful story of Lucy Carr Evans and Jay Thrasher Carr, brought to us by my RedState colleague, Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, who every Friday does a Feel Good Friday article. This was hers this past Friday. They became friends in high school and formed a bond that would change both their worlds. Jay and Lucy became friends in high school after Jay expressed his love for her during gym class. The first time I met her, I was walking downstairs with my headphones, my CD player, and my golden shoes. I went downstairs, and there she was on the floor. I sat next to her and said, "I love you," said Jay. If you haven't figured it out, Jay was born with Down syndrome. And Lucy embraced that love, and she and Jay forged an inseparable friendship. During their senior year, Lucy learned that Jay's mother was moving out of state, and she immediately wanted him to stay with her and be part of her family. That was back in 2013. In 2020, Jay was formally adopted by Lucy's parents.
Oh, nice.
While in high school, Lucy was inspired to start an organization called Happy Feet, which is a nonprofit organization that offers a day program for adults and children with special needs, providing them with post-school opportunities to learn life and community skills. 12 years later, she's still running it, and a family friend decided to write a film about her bond with Jay, a film called Made with Love, put together by David Hewins. He started crowdfunding it in 2022. It has been submitted to script festivals around the world and has won 40 awards.
Wow.
Including Best Script Award in France, Singapore, India, and Italy.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. Just to finish that one up, Jay's life, a life that some would say should not have been allowed to be, has transformed the lives of people beyond that what he will ever know. Hewins has partnered with Rod's Heroes, an organization that encourages adoptive parents to consider taking in children with Down syndrome, and has produced featurettes with some of these families. They spotlight the joy of individuals with Down syndrome and why they should be championed and celebrated, not extinguished.
Excellent.
Yeah. Tell me something good. Okay. Are you guys Swifties? No, me neither.
Nope. I don't hate her.
No,
it's not my thing.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the business savvy, but I don't get it.
Okay. Well, there's a 95-year-old in Nebraska who does get it.
Oh boy.
She just released her latest album, This is The Life of a Showgirl, and her popularity has reached every demographic, including a certain 95-year-old in Nebraska retirement home. Frank, and I'm going to mangle his name, Urays is a resident at the Remington Heights retirement community in Omaha. He was talking to a worker one day who expressed disappointment that Swift had never responded to any of her fan letters. Frank wanted to do something about it. I know some people, the 95-year-old said. He started a Taylor Swift fan club and worked to spread the word as far and wide as he could. Membership kept snowballing from 10 members to 20 and soon into the triple digits. Oh. In fact, so many people wanted to join that Frank had to add some membership stipulations. If you're not a resident of Remington, someone has to sponsor you. Eventually,
they were serious about this.
Serious about this. Eventually, Frank's personality caught the attention of the Swifties fan base across the country. Molly from North Carolina sent Frank's fan club a letter, some cookies, and friendship bracelets, which are a staple souvenir of the Taylor fandom. Another group of Swifties has invited Frank and his friends to join their online community, Swifties for Taylor, 50 years old and up.
Wow.
Frank continues to be an outspoken ambassador for Taylor and the Remington Heights fan club. He wore an I love you Taylor button and some orange Swiftie bracelets during a recent interview on TV. Also has a Taylor Swift license plate affixed to his walker. The ultimate
and
goal...
he's probably not that Swift.
No, maybe not. The ultimate goal is to secure a visit from Taylor Swift herself, and the campaign has already begun. Listen to this. The club is preparing to deliver a big envelope to Taylor's team in Kansas City, where her fiance, Travis Kelce, plays NFL football for the Chiefs. There's a letter typed for Taylor and Kelce that includes marriage advice from Frank, who is a lifelong Chiefs fan. There's a letter for quarterback Patrick Mahomes in the envelope, too, along with photos of the newest, some might say oldest, Swifties fan club. Frank is having fun just thinking about all of them showing up to the Remington Heights building someday, and maybe that's the whole point. You're never too old to dream.
There you go. Now, I think we need a 95-year-old to start an Iron Maiden fan club. I'm just saying.
Well, get on it, Mike.
Okay. Oh, I kind of walked into that one, didn't I?
You set it up. There he is. It. So this is a medical story. It's kind of a good news story, but it's interesting. There's a revolutionary implant that enables blind people to see. In a medical breakthrough that sounds like stuff of science fiction, blind people have been able to read again thanks to a revolutionary eye implant. The microchip was inserted under the retinas of 38 blind people as a part of a landmark global study, the results of which were published this week. All those taking part had untreatable age-related macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of blindness for over 50s, and affects some 5 million people worldwide. For 84% of participants, the device enabled them to see again.
Wow, that's amazing.
I was an avid bookworm and wanted that back, said Sheila Irvine, who took part in the multi-country trial at London's Moorfields Eye Hospital. It was that exciting when I began seeing a letter. It's not simply learning to read again, but the more hours I put in, the more I pick it up. It's made a big difference. Reading takes you into another world. I'm definitely more optimistic now. Designed by U.S.-based Science Corporation, the chip is paired with a set of video recording glasses which transmit live footage to a pocket computer that converts the footage into an electronic signal. The signal is then beamed to the chip, which sends it through the retinal and optical nerve cells and into the brain, where it is interpreted as vision. In the history of artificial vision, this represents a new era. One of the consultants on this says, and it has never been done before.
Yeah. So you referenced the macular degeneration. So sounds like it could be possible this could be used to treat other reasons people were, because you can become blind for a variety of reasons.
Exactly.
So it sounds like this
may just be the starting point.
Yeah. Huge. Wow. That's amazing.
And also, I couldn't let this segment go without telling you about some of the national days. You ready for this?
I love these.
Okay, today, Monday, is National Civics Day.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Yeah. It's also National American Beer Day.
Hey.
What a great combo, right?
You know what? Yuengling's made in the United States.
All right. Let's celebrate them.
I mean, there's some.
I didn't bring any in.
There's some made around here, but hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is 5 o'clock somewhere. It's well past 5 o'clock over in Japan where President Trump is. So.
A toast to them.
Toast to them. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is National First Responders Day.
Oh, good.
Give them their due.
Yes.
It's also National Chocolate Day.
Are you a chocolatier?
I'm not a chocolatier. I have become more of a chocolate hound than I used to be.
Okay.
I've developed more of a sweet tooth as I've gotten older. And yeah.
Favorite one around the room?
Favorite chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh, I love dark chocolate.
Okay.
Something with like sea salt caramel in the middle of it.
I was gonna say a caramel. You put some caramel in it or some toffee in it. I'm in.
Yeah. Wednesday, real quick, is National Oatmeal Day, National Hermit Day, and National Cat Day.
Okay.
Hermits, cats, that might go.
Yeah,
I don't know about the
add,
oatmeal part of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if any of this helps you have a great week, be sure to let us know on Facebook or X at NewsTalkSTL.
Excellent.
Not bad. I'm looking forward to that chocolate day. What day of the week is that again?
Tomorrow.
Oh,
Tuesday.
okay. I know what I'm bringing in for breakfast.
And then oatmeal day on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually do the overnight oats thing every morning, so you actually see me eating it pretty much every morning here. That. Oh my goodness. All right. By the way, 8:35. Chris Salcedo from NewsMax TV. He's got a new book on Republicans, conservatives in particular, winning over Latino and Hispanic voters. It's going to be crucial in 2028.
Very cool.
Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors. Experience the passion. Oh, yeah. You can go in and see the best variety, the best pricing, the best quality, the best personalized service right there off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or you can have the store come to you. Oh, yeah. Brian and his team take great pride in running a fantastic flooring outlet, and you can get their 5-star ratings right there on Google. Just check it out. It's O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellfountain, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump is reminding the Russians that, in the president's words, we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shores. What prompted the warning?
Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country has tested a new nuclear-capable and nuclear-powered cruise missile designed to confuse existing defenses. In a video released by the Kremlin, Putin, in a meeting with military officers, says, once again, we have confirmed the reliability of Russia's nuclear shield. Russia has resisted Western pressure for a ceasefire in Ukraine and warns the U.S. and other NATO allies against sanctioning strikes deep inside Russia with longer-range Western weapons. Little is known about Russia's new cruise missile, codenamed Skyfall by NATO, but many Western experts have been skeptical about it, saying a nuclear engine could be highly unreliable. I'm Donna Warder.
Sounds like things are progressing nicely when it comes to sealing a trade deal with China. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
We have a framework for President Trump, President Xi to decide on, and we discussed a wide range of things from tariffs, trade, fentanyl, substantial purchase of U.S. agricultural products, and rare earths.
Presidents Trump and Xi meet later this week in South Korea. President Trump is on a week-long visit to Asia. He is now in Japan. He's met with the emperor and will sit down with Prime Minister Takaichi this evening. To help ease trade friction, Japan's government is floating the idea of buying a fleet of Ford F-150 trucks to use to inspect roads and infrastructure across Japan. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures up 236. NASDAQ futures 325 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool, too. A high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! In case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, we all know how Obamacare increased healthcare costs. Yep. And it's one of those things where we say, if only somebody had warned us.
If only.
Except we did. Over and over and over. But that's what we're living with now. Now it's crucial that we make smart decisions in the world that's created. So multiple groups, and we're talking like across the board, not just, partisan ones, free market think tanks, economic researchers are saying, hey, there are some medical tariffs in play here that really could drive up costs even more, in addition to what Obamacare is already doing to us. But is there a national security aspect of this as well?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're now joined by Tommy Aiello from the National Taxpayers Union. Tommy, appreciate you being on, man. Okay, so the what you all wrote there, and you can find it at your website. Taxpayers warn new medical tariffs would weaken U.S. national security and drive up healthcare costs. Let me start with the easy part of this. We've been talking about the tariff thing throughout the morning here. A lot of the things that the tariffs are going to apply to are the things that hospitals and doctors and diagnostics and that they need and use. And if those costs get jacked up, well, that gets passed on to us is essentially what I'm hearing.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. Look, you're exactly right. Tariffs at the end of the day are borne by American consumers, right? Even though we're tariffing these goods when they reach the port of Los Angeles or the port of New York or wherever, it's the importers that are going to pay the cost up front, but they're eventually going to pass those costs on to the hospitals if they're selling to the hospital. The hospital is going to pass those costs on to the insurance companies. The insurance companies are going to pass those costs on to consumers. At the end of the day, that's where the costs line up. No one wants to pay the tariffs, but unfortunately, there's no one for the American consumer to pass it on to. So that's what's going to happen if we impose new tariffs on these medical prices. And I think at the end of the day, Americans are so sick of high healthcare costs. People are getting their premium increases in the mail. It's going to be really catastrophic for a lot of people. So we need to find, how do we reduce healthcare costs, not add to them? And unfortunately, this will add to healthcare costs, which is the opposite of what the president wants.
Okay, before we get to the national security aspect of this, I mean, from a policy perspective, I mean, to me, obviously, we need to go back and undo the damaging thing, but Obamacare is entrenched, so we're not getting rid of that anytime soon. But is there anything that Congress and or the president and or states could do to start lowering that burden, at least if it's just nibbling around the edges? What's the low-hanging fruit? What can we do to make healthcare cost at least a little bit lower right now?
Yeah, I always like to say we call it Obamacare, but it's the Affordable Care Act. That's the legal term for it. Healthcare costs haven't gotten any more affordable. So what do we do about it? One, I think we can all agree that the federal government should have less of a role in the healthcare space. But two, that's going to take time. More immediately, we can expand something called health savings accounts. These are healthcare accounts that are set up. They are tax deferred. They allow your investments to actually earn money in the marketplace, in the stock market, index funds. That will grow your investment. And you can pay for your hospital stays, your co-pays, your deductibles using that account. So you're not having really any money out of pocket. It just comes from this account that you have that is tax deferred. It's a really great thing. A lot of Republicans keep pushing this because it's a free market way of actually helping people. So I think in the most immediate term, that's how we can do it. There's also a number of federal healthcare programs that are ripe for reform, like the 340B drug program that just bilks taxpayers for billions of dollars a year, raises costs across the board. Those are some things most immediately that I think would have an immediate impact. But at the end of the day, we need holistic reform to the healthcare system. And it seems like Democrats just don't want to play ball.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're visiting with Tommy Aiello from the National Taxpayers Union. Okay, so let's talk about the national security aspect of this. I mean, listen, there's a real good faith debate on, on the whole tariff thing. I'm a free market guy. I'm a free trade guy, so there's a lot of people who disagree with me on that right now. I get that. But what is that? We're talking, the cost to us and the cost to consumers and the taxes that roll down to us. And I agree 100% with your assessment on that. But what's the national security aspect of this? Because I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about that.
So the Commerce Department, they are looking into this, and they are saying, hey, there's a national security imperative for the United States to produce, PPE. Those are your masks and gloves that hospitals use. It's your medical devices like your stents and your pacemakers. They want all of that to be produced in the United States. I think the way they look at it is President Trump was president during COVID. There was a little bit of a disruption to the supply chain, as we know, and hospitals couldn't get these things. So they say we need to onshore them. So in the event of another pandemic, we can be prepared. Look, I do agree to an extent with their analysis of it, but tariffs aren't the right way to get there. The president is right. We can produce and we should produce more in the United States. But there's better ways to get there than through tariffs on consumers. We think there's three main things that the president should pursue. One, American energy dominance. It costs the largest input cost for a factory aside from labor is electricity. The sooner and the quicker that we can produce more natural gas and oil to our electricity grid, the cheaper it'll be to produce here. Two, tax certainty. The president signed the largest tax cut in American history that'll help expedite the capital required for factory construction. And three, permitting reform. It costs way too much money for way too much money to do these reviews and these environmental reviews of factories. We should expedite it quicker. That way we can actually put shovels in the ground and have items roll off the line much quicker at a faster pace. Those three things are a much more efficient way of producing in the United States than high-cost tariffs that'll be passed along to the consumers at the end of the day.
Yeah, so some of that would involve states needing to get on board with deregulation as well. I mean, a lot of that's federal, and that's federal territory, clearly. But then it's also crucial that we have more free marketeers in the states as well, is what I'm hearing.
I'm sorry, I think you cut out for.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I said. So a lot of what you just described, obviously federal territory, but as far as some of the regulatory aspect of it, it sounds like some of that's going to require we have free market folks at the state level as well, because aren't some of those regulations and those permitting and all that sort of stuff, some of that involves state regulators.
Yeah, they are. And just look at what we're dealing with in the chips sector, right? Ohio is attracting a lot of investment to build chips. It's going to take a year and a half just to get those permits reviewed and approved, and that's even before you put shovels in the ground. It takes a very long time. And just going back to the tariffs, right? If we want to produce more in the United States, it's not like you flip a switch overnight and you have a factory up and running and you start rolling out stents and pacemakers and things like that. It takes time, and these are global supply chains. They are going to rely at the end of the day on foreign inputs to a lot of these different things, whether it's rubber or some of the electronics that go into these devices. It's going to take a lot of planning to have a globalized supply chain feed into the United States. So we can produce more, but we need to be really smart about how we do it.
Yeah. And then given the whole standoff at, with Congress and the shutdown right now, Congress can't even really weigh in on this other than sound bites on the news. So really, we're talking everything at an executive level right here.
Yeah, and look, the Supreme Court right now they're going to be hearing oral arguments about the president's tariffs to decide if they're unconstitutional or not. And NTU Foundation, that's our research arm, they submitted to the Supreme Court an amicus brief highlight on Friday that these tariffs are unconstitutional. And I think at the end of the day, that's where the Supreme Court is going to side. And the president might have a short-term loss if he is unsuccessful in defending these tariffs at the Supreme Court. But if they are struck down, you're going to have such an economic boom in this country because the tariffs are the one major drag on the economy. If you talk to any small business owner, if you talk to a grocery store proprietor, they're going to tell you that tariffs are causing a lot of uncertainty and they're raising their prices. So I think if they are struck down, you're going to have such a boom that it's going to be one of the biggest economic shocks in a positive way to the second Trump administration. And there's been a lot of good news lately, and I think this will just add to it.
Yeah, because one of the things that Trump's been really good at is targeting regulations and things and deregulating on business. I mean, he's generally been really strong on that. So it seems like this would just complement the things that he's doing really well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're still creating jobs. I know the job market on its face doesn't seem so positive, but our GDP numbers are some of the strongest in the world. That's such a great thing. Inflation still remains stubbornly high. We got that report out on Friday that said we're stuck at 3% inflation rate. That's 50% higher than what the Federal Reserve wants to see. But I think part of that is because of the tariffs. And the president's been such an energy dominant president by reducing energy prices. Gas prices, I think, are the cheapest in 5 years. That's a great thing. So that'll help bring down the inflation rate. But it's these tariffs that are keeping the inflation rate high. We're hearing that across the board. Small business owners, big business owners, even consumers, right? Coffee, I think, is up 20% over the past year. That's because we put a 50% tariff on coffee. We don't produce coffee in the United States. So it makes no sense why we're tariffing some goods and not others. I think at the end of the day, we need a free trade agreement across the world where it says, you don't tariff our products, we won't tariff yours. Let's reduce some of these non-tariff barriers that exist on American agriculture. That would be a very good thing. And let's trade with the world and have commerce. That's the best way to increase prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic and the Pacific.
All right, Tommy Aiello, National Taxpayers Union. Let's go ahead and give out that website, social media information for people to connect, because, there's a lot of different, obviously perspectives on that, on quote unquote, our side on this. And I want people to read what you're writing.
Sure. You can go to our website at ntu.org and follow us on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And thanks for having me. And thank you for your listeners to staying engaged in the fight.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, Tommy. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See, I am not a radio professional.
You are a radio professional. You're doing more over there than what we realize. Yeah.
The ripple effect of the government shutdown is spreading. We'll talk about what you need to know as we head into the holiday season. That at 8:20.
You have a soul sewn down, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now! I have had enough of this.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. For 28 years, we've been your trusted supplier for everything seasonal. It's homegrown apple season. Choose from many local varieties. Grab some caramel dip or try our made-in-house gourmet caramel apples. Fall decorating? We've got Hardy Mums, corn stalks, straw bales, pumpkins, gourds, Indian corn, and jumbo specialty pumpkins. Perfect for carving or pies. Plus seasoned firewood available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30 and Sundays, 8 to 5 on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, here's what's going on. The Boeing employees, they vote on the new offer from the company. It was a close vote. Bottom line is they ain't going back to work.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that here in a second. Stakes are getting higher in that government shutdown standoff, and also what you need to know as that continues. I experienced some of that this weekend, okay? As in, I experienced it up till late last night, like 9 hours ago.
Holy moly.
Yeah, good God. All right. And also, man, we got a good World Series in the works right now. This has been fun so far, and it resumes tonight. All right, basically coming up on 8:20 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. Boeing's striking non-working employees. They are going to stay off the job.
Really?
Yeah. So according to multiple reports, the vote was 51 to 49% to reject the company's latest offer. So the members of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers said no. 51 to 49%, they chose to stay off the job again.
So almost half the people are like, look, let's just get back to work. Let's get, and 51% said,
Right.
Where are they getting? Are they just draining their savings at this point? Or
well, say that. I mean, the unions do have like a scaled down union pay strike pay typically that they have a fund for, but it's much lower on average. Like I said, was it Thursday? I saw that report that it says that on average, the Boeing workers at this point, because this strike is 3 months old, this is 25% of the year they've been on strike, and it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. In some estimates, the workers have lost about $25,000 of income and benefits.
Wow.
By walking off the job in the strike. And remember, Boeing is offering over the course of the contract they're offering an average of 45% wage increases plus bonuses and all sort of thing. And they still say, the workers, the union bosses at least, still say that's not good enough, and they're staying off the job. So the longer this goes, the less likely they are going to get to recoup that sort of back pay because they haven't been on the job.
Yeah, at some point, if I was the employee of that situation, I'm probably already got a committee of people thinking, how do we get around this? Because you can't not work for a quarter of the year and then still expect to come back and get anything that you want.
Right, precisely. And at some point, if you got a 51-49 vote on this, at some point, guys, gals, those of you in IAM, you got to start looking at each other and going, why are you stopping me from going back to work? I have a family to feed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got a loyalty to my family, to my children, and I've got bills to pay. Why are you stopping me from going to work? You know, so that's something you guys got to figure out internally on it, because right now, Boeing has said this is the best we're going to do. So do you want to work or not?
And it was very generous, in my opinion, at least, what the best offer was. And so it's just going to go downhill from there.
Yep. All right. The illegal alien who killed a St. Louis police officer last year will be back in court tomorrow. Investigators say Ramon Chavez Rodriguez was drunk when he hit Officer David Lee on I-70. That happened in September of 2024. Officer Lee was on the highway because he'd responded to another accident and he was helping somebody else when he was hit. So Chavez Rodriguez is charged with DUI, death of a law enforcement officer. He's also charged with speeding. He has a criminal history. And as a side note, in another case, he was sentenced earlier this month to 7 years in prison after pleading guilty to domestic assault.
Wow.
Yeah. This guy had routine encounters with law enforcement, and yet he was still in the country and allowed to kill a St. Louis City Metropolitan Police officer.
Thank you, Biden, and thank you, Democrats.
Yeah, because remember, all this happened. This happened in 2024, and the criminal history stretched for the few years before that. Actually, it predated that as well. So Donald Trump was not president at that point. The new crackdown on illegal, that had not started at all. This was still the era where our government basically had a green light and coddled as many illegal aliens as possible. And this is part of the result we saw in St. Louis.
And these are the cases that come to my mind when I see people complain, like, why don't we have better cops? Why don't we have more good cops? While you're actively protesting ICE, trying to get these exact types of people out of the country.
Right, precisely. All right, we just talked to Congressman Bob Onder, and that discussion is going to be up on our podcast here in just a little bit. The shutdown. What I was hearing from Bob is it's not going to stop anytime soon. They're not reconciling this anytime soon.
No.
So let's do the dueling soundbite, shall we? I think we should set the mood for that because the stakes just get higher and higher and higher. Let us start on CBS's Face the Nation with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
As Democrats, we've maintained from the very beginning and continue to maintain we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone, either at the Capitol or back at the White House, to reopen the government, to negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement.
And of course, their version of a bipartisan spending agreement is over $1 trillion of additional spending, including stuff that's already been cut. Senator John Barrasso out of Wyoming was on Fox's Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy.
This is mean. It is heartless. Evidently, they think that withholding paychecks from people who are working, or possibly even holding back food from women's and infants and children, maybe they think that gives them leverage. I would say leverage for what? For health care for illegal immigrants paid for by taxpayers?
Okay, and I got a firsthand account of this last night, yesterday, as I was trying to fly back home. And I was in the Philadelphia airport, and my flight was delayed because there were slowdowns because of shortage of air traffic controllers. And that on Fox Business, you can see the story on several places, LA, Dallas, Orlando, places like that. I saw last night people being delayed because of delays on those flights, which affected where we were, which affected where everybody was going, including delaying me by several hours getting back home last night. And my wife had to go to Chicago. So for delaying her for several hours, well, for hours, not several. And so this is having that ripple effect. And the warning that we should be taking from this right now is that you're looking at holiday travel. I'm going to say it over and over and over again, so you're not caught off guard. Have a plan B if you think you're going to fly to grandma's house or go fly to see the kids, because you may or may not do it. And you may be taking a big risk of getting to Lambert and finding out your flight's been canceled because the backup is too far.
And another point that you raised actually earlier is when it comes to the holidays coming up, because there's going to be that time period when, if the government, reopens, that it's still going to take people to accumulate and to get back into the groove of things. So this might be the chance if you're thinking about Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that stuff. You may not, it might be in your best interest to shop local this year.
Very and early.
Yeah,
because they have to get stuff shipped in too sometimes, unless they're making it here. So absolutely it is. All right. Here's a public service announcement. Speaking of the holidays, speaking of, obviously we've got Halloween this week, and then, Thanksgiving. Leave the stem on your pumpkin. If you have that decorative pumpkin out like front or in the house. Okay. So don't cut that off. Apparently some people cut that off, but leave it on. According to an article in the New York Times, keeping the stem on keeps the pumpkin from rotting as fast.
Oh,
yeah. And that's, of course, referring to the decorative pumpkins, not the carved ones. Once you carve into it, all bets are off. The clock is ticking on that. But if you do that as like a decorative thing, they say leave that on there because there's actually a bunch of nutrients still in the stem, even after it's been cut off the vine or off the, so that's still going in there, but it keeps the things that would sort of make it decompose from getting into the pumpkin a little bit longer.
Until the squirrels get to it, of course.
The squirrels will do a big number on that. We tried a couple years ago to do the nice little decoration with the different gourds and the pumpkins and everything. And it didn't last very long. The squirrels, word got out to the squirrel community that there was a buffet, and we go out there and there's seeds and pumpkin entrails everywhere.
Oh no.
But there is like a spray you can spray on there that's supposed to keep them off there, and it worked for a little bit, but they'll still get to it.
Yeah,
just saying. All right, a lot of stuff going on in sports here. World Series is tied up after the Blue Jays and Dodgers split the first two games in Toronto. The series resumes tonight. They're going to be in Los Angeles for the next 3 games. First pitch is at 7:00 our time. That game is on Fox, so you can watch it on Channel 2. And the Blues are on the road tonight. They are in Pittsburgh. Puck drops at 6 p.m. against the Penguins. This one is going to be on FanDuel, so you can check that out as well. The Blues they're now 3-4-2, I think it is. Penguins are like 5-2 or 6-2 or something like that. So the Penguins off to a much stronger start than the Blues. But I am seeing little like glimpses of hope with the Blues here. Now, we've also seen some really lousy stretches as well, but you got a really young team and some new guys. Let's see what happens when they gel. Too early to say that that's going to be a rough season. We don't know that yet. I still think that you've actually got some youthful talent on this. I think we could see possibly like a wild card team here.
Yeah, I'm willing to be gracious with them in the beginning as they get their bones in and stuff, but if this is an indicator of the season, I might be getting a lot of use on my Blackhawks jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I was gonna say, give it about 3-4 weeks. Let's see. They play twice a week basically. So let's see where we're at in about a month on that. Yep. All right. Just ahead here, Chris Salcedo, the host on NewsMax TV. He's going to be with us. He's actually got a book out, and it's all about winning the Latino and the Hispanic voters over to the conservative side. So there's some demands on the Republicans to stay conservative, because media tells us that all Latinos and Hispanics, they now hate Trump. They now hate Republicans. They now hate conservatives.
Well, Trump is just indiscriminately kicking them all out, right?
Right. And Chris is saying no, and he's going to tell us about his new book and about his effort to make sure that Republicans build on the momentum. I shouldn't say Republicans, conservatives build on the momentum of the votes that they're winning from the Hispanic and from the Latino community. And that's just ahead right around 8:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty light showers wind down slowly this morning, but stubborn clouds are going to try to hold on into the afternoon. Let's call it mostly cloudy for the afternoon forecast, and cool too, a high of only 59. Lots of low clouds hanging in the air overnight with a low of about 50. Tuesday, we're dry to start, but boy, another round of rain shows up late in the afternoon, into the evening and overnight hours. Cloudy Tuesday with a high of 61. That rain continues into Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Thela next. Feel that chill in the air? Now's the perfect time to layer up. The outerwear shop is now open at Untuck It with sharp new jackets and vests made for this season and beyond. You'll find all the right layers to keep you warm and looking sharp, including cozy sweaters, sweatshirts, and more. But hurry, fall weather won't wait, and neither should you. So don't miss the outerwear shop, open now at untuckit.com in more than 80 stores worldwide. Untuck It, shirts designed to be worn, untucked.
Here's Jimmy Fallon. No Kings didn't move the needle. It got Meemaw some exercise. If you got a Fitbit for your grandparent or your great auntie, yes, then No Kings helped them get some steps on the Fitbit. But in terms of meeting the needle, nobody cared because we didn't have a king when the rally started. So there was no deliverable when the rally ended. Okay, and it's the same problem they have now. They're getting ginned up about the White House, but what's the deliverable? Okay, the guy is building a ballroom onto a very small portion of the east end of the White House. That's what he's doing. It's paid for by donor money. It'll be done so every president, whoever lives, can use it. So the real reason they're mad is they need something to be mad at. Is it genuine anger? No. They don't care that he's renovating the White House. They all renovate the White House and kind of make it over to their own lifestyle. They all do it in one capacity or the other. For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is the free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, one of the things I love is proving the conventional wisdom and all of the pundits and all of the experts, even the people in my media industry, proving them wrong. And I think that may be what we're on the verge of doing right now as we head into 2026. Hey, Mike Ferguson here. When it comes to, obviously, the battle over illegal immigration, and obviously you got the No Kings protest that just happened, a week ago or so. And one of the arguments is if you're a minority, well, then you're hated by the Republicans. You're hated by the conservatives. You're hated by Donald Trump. And so therefore, they own those votes. Oh, boy. All right. Chris Salcedo from NewsMax TV. You see him every afternoon, and he's got a new book out. The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, A New American Revolution. And Chris joins me right now. And Chris, a lot of people may not know this. You're the executive director of the Conservative Hispanic Society as well. So we're talking about not even countering what people know in real life. We're talking about countering a messaging and a narrative from the powers that be and the people who are so much smarter than you and I, right?
Well, Mike, that's what they say. By the way, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you. Look, notice that I'm the executive director of the Conservative Hispanic Society, not the Republican Hispanic Society. And I think that's pretty important differentiation for people to understand where I'm coming from. there's a certain set of values that we were told that the Republican Party was supposed to be living up to. And I think I'll leave it up to each individual race as to determine which Republican is actually living up to those conservative bona fides and principles. But that the one metric I'm using in this upcoming primary election and the subsequent fall elections of next year, there's only one metric I'm using. How well have you defended me and mine from left-wing, violent, kook, nuts, extremists in this country? And if you can't lay claim to protecting me and mine from them, then you don't get my vote.
Yeah, I mean, when we listen to, our counterparts in the national media and a lot of local media, they like to point out and they make a claim, Chris, and this is what I'm hoping your answer is, that if you're in a different demographic, then you have different needs, you have different wants, and it's just that siloing of people. Now, there certainly obviously are maybe traditions and cultures, things, but at some point we've gotten away from, or they want us to be away from, we're Americans who happen to have these differences, as opposed to we're all different people living in one America.
I make this point in the book in various sections and in various ways, but to summarize it, I'll say this: the expression that's out there that's pushed by the left-wing mainstream press, the biased press, is that diversity is our strength, to which I say that makes no sense. That's utter BS. You know what our strength is? Unity. We are the United States of America. At least we used to be before the leftists put these wedges in between us. Everything the Democrats do, if they claim to be for this, quote, black issue or this Latino issue or this gay issue or this new class of people they've invented called trans, if they claim they're for that, it's the mechanism of dividing us and keeping themselves in perpetual power that is their goal. They'll chew up and spit out anything that they can classify as aggrieved just to keep themselves in power. That's their MO. And we expose that, I think, in the most thorough of ways in the book, The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino.
All right, we're visiting with Chris Salcedo from NewsMax TV. Let me ask you about that. In after the 2024 elections, and even to some degree after elections prior to that, some of the pundits were just befuddled at how so much more of the black vote and so much more of the Latino Hispanic vote went more conservative, went redder. And they basically acted like that's an aberration that can't be, because they assume minority votes are just owned by the left. What are they either missing or lying about?
They're lying. They know they're lying. They know that there is a debate in the black community. There's a debate in the Latino community that is a direct mirror to the debate that we're having writ large in the United States of America. The idea that if you're born black or you're born Latino, that you're a leftist and you're an anti-American kook, freak, or nut, that's insanity. That's absolute insanity. But they've spent a lot of time, a lot of money at places like CNN, MSNBS, and the rest trying to promulgate that narrative. And it's what it is. It's narrative. It's not news. It's narrative. And what they're lying to you about is that, and actually they've actually gone on record and said this. Remember Bill Richardson, a former governor of New Mexico? He actually made the claim that Ted Cruz wasn't entitled to be Hispanic because he wasn't a left-wing loon. He actually made that case. And a lot of liberty-loving Latinos in this last election rebelled against that, saying, you're not going to define us. We define us, not you folks in the biased media, not you folks in the Democrat Party. And I have to say this, Mike, that it wasn't the Republicans that wooed over liberty-loving Latinos. It was President Trump. He's the one, and only him and the America First Coalition, who gave Hispanics a place to go because the left wing had gone just bat guano crazy.
Does the crackdown on illegal immigration, does that affect the overall effort to win votes to the conservative side or to the Republican side? Because again, there's what CNN says, and then there's what's the reality. What is it that the conservative movement, and I'm glad you're making that distinction, what is it the conservative movement needs to be communicating and needs to be working on to attract more Hispanic and Latino voters?
Yeah, I get asked that by Republican groups when I go and speak in front of them. And Mike, this is what I do. I say, folks, this is going to be This is going to be very thorough, so I want you all to get your pencil and your pads ready. And invariably, about half the crowd, their pencils poised and are ready to etch down feverishly what I'm about ready to say, right? And I say, talk to them. When Republicans behave as conservatives, your message is superior to anything the leftists are espousing or trying to impose on this country. I'll give you an example of this in real world results. Look at the Texas-Mexico border. Along that border, the counties in Texas in 2020 were all blue. After Beijing Biden opened up the borders and allowed millions of illegal aliens and narco-terrorists to take over the border region and to flood into the United States of America, the result of that was a rejection of Democrat lawlessness. And you look at those counties now, and they're almost all red. They all flipped to Republican, and you know that they're in danger of losing the narrative because left-wing Democrats in Texas just tried to sue to stop the redistricting of our maps that would have allowed Latino districts to be represented in primarily Latino districts. But the reason why the Democrats protested is because those Latinos are voting Republican now. And so the Democrats went on record by undertaking what they would classify as a racist action by trying to stop Latino districts from being represented. But and really, at the end of the day, that's the whole sophistry here, Mike, behind all of this. It's all politics. It all boils down to ideology, the race, the trans, the sexual identification. It's all tertiary, all subservient as far as the Democrats are concerned to their political agenda.
Earlier this month with the No Kings protest, Chris, all of the older white people were telling me that the minorities are very angry at Donald Trump, though. So thank goodness we have the aging white hippies to tell us that.
Dude, did you see the demographic makeup of these so-called protests? They were all white, aged, probably individuals who were on Social Security and needed the extra money because it was all funded and it was all AstroTurf. Most of the Hispanics and blacks couldn't be bothered to go out there because they weren't behind it. This is all. There was one in. If you look at it online, our buddies at Current Revolt in Texas found a couple of dudes, white males, kind of probably in their 60s, 70s, and basically asked them, "Hey, man, who are the people you vote for in Dallas?" Well, we don't know their names. We just know if they have a D next to them, we're going to vote for them. And who's the Dallas mayor? Oh, I have no idea. They had no idea who they're voting for. They're just voting for a letter, a D, and they have no idea about the policies they're voting for. Conservatives cannot be that ill-informed.
I wish I were surprised by that. All right, last minute or so, we've got Chris, the rise of the liberty-loving Latino, a new American revolution. What's the next step in that revolution? What is that next step in the conservative movement that includes and embraces the Latino and Hispanic voter?
It all depends on if President Trump is successful in remaking the Republican Party and making it permanent, to actually making it an opposition party to Democrats rather than one that is a bunch of Republicans looking for the nearest Democrat butt cheek on which to firmly plant their lips. If the Republican Party gives Americans a place to go and adopts the America First sensibilities, the future is very, very bright. And Hispanics, as the polling has shown, as President Trump has cracked down on illegal immigration, his popularity only grows in the Latino community. He's actually built on his popularity with Hispanics since Election Day. So it all depends on what the Republican Party does. If the Mitch McConnells and John Cornyn's take back control over the Republican Party, it doesn't look too good. But if the America First coalition maintains control, the future's bright.
All right. And we find the book pretty much anywhere, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any place like that. The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino, a New American Revolution. People want to be in contact with you or keep up with you, Chris. What's the best way to do it?
Well, first off, the book drops on December 9th. Great gift, Christmas gift for the Liberty lover in your life. You can pre-order now and make my publisher very, very happy. And that's going to save you a couple of bucks too. There is something in it for you if you pre-order. And then, you go to Amazon, type in The Rise of the Liberty-Loving Latino or my name, Chris Salcedo, and then you'll be able to find the book. and then go ahead and order it, and that's how you do it. ChrisSalcedo.com, ChrisSalcedo.com. All my social media hookups are all there. How you get in touch with the show, it's all there for you at your fingertips.
All right, Chris, thanks so much, man. Great to chat with you.
Great chatting with you, Mike.
All right, got some thoughts on that. 314-912-1019. Let's hear them. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Are you searching for an excellent new vehicle or a great deal on a used one? Then check out Tyler Trineri, Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Tim Jones here to tell you what loyal Tyler Trineri customers already know. Every new vehicle and select used ones come with an exclusive lifetime warranty. And Tyler Trineri has a service department second to none. I should know. I've been a loyal and happy customer for years. For the best price, selection, and the amazing lifetime warranty, check out Tyler Trineri today, right off Interstate 44 in beautiful Pacific, Missouri. Online at TylerTrineri.com, TylerTrineri.com.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-618-8888. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-618-8888.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit BlueOceanMediaGroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
I've been not really surprised, but it just kind of a reminder how many people say, I don't fly anymore.
Yeah, that would be among that group.
Yeah, Susie said that a little bit earlier, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that about Susie. And so I was reminded why yesterday for a couple of different reasons. One, because with the government shutdown, any one thing can cause a problem several steps down the road.
Yeah.
So I was in Philadelphia this weekend and actually at Valley Forge this weekend. And so I was supposed to fly out and get back, a little later than I wanted to, but that's what the flight schedule had. But there were delays in other cities, Orlando, Dallas, and a few others. And those have been attributed to partially weather, but also because of slowdowns because of the government shutdown and a lack of staffing, on things like air traffic controllers. And so it was interesting sitting there watching everybody who's going all over the place, because Philadelphia's airport's really big. It's a lot bigger than what we have here. And I'm seeing people get delayed. Matter of fact, when we walked up to check in, the lady there at the counter, she, I hand her my ID and the boarding pass and all that. And she goes, nope. That is not how you want to start a conversation.
No, you don't want to hear that at the
airport. And I'm like, what do you mean, nope? And she goes, well, the flight's delayed a little bit. And I'm like, okay. She goes, yeah, the problem is there's no way you're making your connecting flight in Chicago.
You definitely don't want to hear that.
Right. And I'm like, crap, really? And she goes, let me rebook you. And I'm thinking, well, thank God she looked at it, because most people are like, okay, you're clear, get your bag and move on. And she's like, you're not going to make it. And so they tried to reroute me one way that it would have gotten me back later than I was originally supposed to, but at least I would have gotten back. And that got booked up from apparently other people getting alerts. And and they booked it. And then she goes, okay, well, I got a direct flight, but it doesn't leave until like basically 9:00 Eastern time.
Ooh.
I was supposed to be here by then.
Yeah.
I was already supposed to be back getting some sleep. And so I didn't get all back and settled until like 11:30 last night. So it was frustrating, in one part you can't do anything about weather, but in the other part, I saw the Fox Business Report that said, no, this is the first part of that shutdown, the effect on everybody. And so we got to be wary of that. Now, of course, I also hate flying because of the ridiculous security theater nonsense that we've implemented. And yes, I got groped and molested again by one of these blue shirt idiots. I'm like, I'm glad that guy doesn't get paid. He's not. I mean, I hate that. I know that there are some people who are convinced that these are outsmarting the terrorist and that these people, no, they're, they just,
No, I learned this when I still lived in Chicago because my mom, she loves to fly. For some reason. I don't mind the flight. It's the actual getting to
exactly.
The flight.
I don't care about once I'm on the plane.
There have been 0 instances of any terroristic plots
right.
that have ever been stopped or prevented by TSA. And the amount of people that quote unquote accidentally, but the people that bring their guns and they get flown.
Oh, yeah.
That happens way more often than it should for people that are supposed to be preventing guns from getting on flights.
And there is a process that you are allowed to ship your guns from one place to another, but you got to check it. Can't be with you. It's got to, all that sort of thing. You got to declare it and all. But there was a study done a few years ago where they basically tried to smuggle in dummy banned items, and they were successful like 85% of the time.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous on that. So you know what? I got groped again. It just infuriates me. Which is one of the reasons I don't fly. We're cattle to the airlines. We're criminals to the blue shirts.
And this doesn't happen. It's on trains.
That's right. Yeah,
I mean, do pretty much anything you want on a train. To be honest,
but that goes. Yeah, I've actually enjoyed the train. But that means when you look at the upcoming holiday season, the longer that this thing goes on, the more likely that your flight's going to be affected. Now, maybe you book one and you get lucky and it goes through as scheduled. But all it takes is some airport somewhere else to have enough air traffic controllers call in sick, take PTO, whatever they do. And those flights start backing up, which means the connecting flight, the plane that's coming to you gets backed up, which means and so be prepared for that in the coming weeks and months.
Now, I do plan on going back to, visit my family back in Chicago.
Sure, yeah.
And I've got no problem whatsoever driving or taking a train.
It's like
but
5 hours.
But for people that they have family much further away, I mean,
New Hampshire in my case,
because one of the issues with holiday travel is planes are still the most like the safest way of travel.
Yeah.
And we know that there are people that celebrate a little too hard during the holidays and cause trouble. So do you just try to plan as early as you can to get there and stay an extra day, or is it maybe looking into driving this year or something?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how far you go. I mean, my parents, my mom, my dad's gone, but my family moved up to New Hampshire. And so that's too much to drive.
Yeah.
It just, unless I'm retired, which I'm not, that's just too far to go. So I have to do some sort of mode of transportation to do that. And, I could fly up to Boston, but at this point we don't know if that's even going to work. So just beware. Now here's one thing that was kind of interesting. So we went up to go to this wedding and it's Rachel's colleague, not mine. I didn't know her. I don't know her. I mean, I met her at the thing. So we went up, and went to her wedding there in this little suburb of Philadelphia called Westchester. Nice little community, little college town looks like. But the reception was at Valley Forge.
Ooh.
The actual Valley Forge.
Nice.
And I was actually surprised that it was still happening with the government shutdown because this is National Park Service. And it turns out that they had already paid for and rented this basically commander's quarters, was what the building was. And the private company that has contracted rent, they're still allowed to do stuff. So we got out there and we were one of the first people to show up at the reception. And they had a George Washington impersonator, and a Martha Washington impersonator dressed up in the full General Washington regalia, and so it was funny because I got there and I'm chatting with this guy and we may have been the first ones there from the wedding. And so he wasn't quite in character. It was funny looking at Martha Washington sending a text on her cell phone there for a second, but really nice people. And we're just kind of chit chatting while he's still the guy, not George Washington. And, he's like, well, what do you do? And I told him and he goes, wait, conservative talk shows? Yeah, look, let me tell you something. I talked to George Washington over the weekend. Dude is conservative. His eyes got big, and he's like, "Oh," and he tells you, "I can't believe the Democrats are doing." I'm like, George, man, you go
get the boys back together.
I didn't do that, but it was funny because clearly he ended up doing what he's doing now because he's so passionate about the American founding and he's passionate about the principles, and it was really fun to chat with the guy. Then everybody started showing up, and of course they did the thing where they're greeting everybody at Valley Forge as George and Martha Washington. And I'll put up some pictures on social media a little bit later. So find me on X. It's AVP Radio Show. We'll put those.
That was AVP Mike.
I'm sorry. Yes, correct. I've changed it. AVP Mike Ferguson. Yes, thank you. I just changed it. AVP Mike Ferguson. So I'll put up pictures of me and Rachel and George and Martha, who greeted us there. But it was really cool to be able to just look around and like, this was a key part, of American history. And we're partying.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm partying with George Washington there. It was great.
See, and things like that make me really happy because I feel like we've really lost that sense of connection to our foundational roots, and something I've always wanted to do was dress up like Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin, the guys, and hand out on 4th of July, declarations of independence. But knowing that there's still people out there that take that level of patriotism seriously enough to give that experience to others just really makes me happy.
Oh, on the video stream, I just see we put those pictures up there. Yeah, so you can see those. That's great. And so it's that's the thing is those principles matter. Were they perfect at the time? No. Are they perfect now? No. Did they set us in the great experiment in the right direction? Absolutely, they did. And so we've had a lot to, try to fix and live up to, but we've got the foundation to do it. So check that out. And once again, I'll put up some of those pictures on social media here in just a little bit as well. All right. I got to get some sleep.
Yeah. Go take a nap, Mike.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for